before we jump into headlines and stuff, we want to talk about, we're actually spinning up for the first time, spinning up something new. I'm pretty excited about it. And Dan's taking the lead on this. So I'll throw it to him to tell you what is happening.
Dan's ready to fly the coop. I don't need Dad anymore. I'm doing my own thing. Screw you, Dad. No. So I love Final Fantasy, in case people didn't know that. And I thought it would be fun to have a separate show to do more Final Fantasy things, in case everyone's kind of tired on this show to discuss Final Fantasy things. So it's going to be called Chocobo Central. It's going to, the center of all Final Fantasy things is going to focus on this show. I get it. Chocobo the center. And I already recorded the first episode, actually, with my friend Brandon, who was with me on the Chocobro show that we did. And yeah, it's just going to primarily focus on Final Fantasy. But, if there's another RPG that I'm like super passionate about and feel like doing something about it, I'll do that too. But it will focus primarily on Final Fantasy. And the format will be different. Like, the first episode is going to be like a podcast. The next episode might be like a short form thing. So it's not always going to be like, structured like a podcast. It might be something else. And then the episode after that might be a podcast again. So it's just going to be kind of whatever my mood is and what I feel like throwing out there. Or if you guys, like I said, if you want to discuss anything specific or shoot the shit or talk shit, because Jeff looks like he has sassy things to say about something Final Fantasy.
I have nothing negative to say the whole podcast. I'm going to be completely...
Oh!
So,
right,
yeah.
We're going to see if Jeff can make it the entire show with nothing negative to say. And that's including talking about the Sony State of Play. So that'll be interesting to hear him navigate that one.
Oh, I'm glad I watched that. Good.
All right. So, Dan, when is the first one going to be released, or do you not have a date yet?
After this episode, I'm still editing it, but Brandon is just putting the finishing touches on the logo. He's just been really busy the past couple of days, so he's like, "I'm so sorry, man." I'm like, "Hey, it's not a big deal. This isn't like my real job. Otherwise, I'd be furious." So, but yeah, I'm hoping probably no later than next Friday. So
nice.
But I'm thinking sometime this week.
You guys doing a weekly thing? You thinking a couple times a month? What do you guys?
The thing is with Final Fantasy news, it's either like it's like once in a while, or sometimes it's a good stream of news. So that's kind of why like I feel like the structure of it isn't always going to be a podcast either. If I want to just do something really short to kind of be like, so something super important, but like I don't have like an hour and a half, 2 hours worth of information to discuss, then kind of do something short. So
gotcha.
But yeah, so
nice.
Yeah.
So be sure to keep your eyes out for that one, guys. You'll see stuff from it on our YouTube channel as well as on our Facebook on our Facebook page. So make sure you check that stuff out.
Okay. No, not that one. No, not that one. Oh, okay, yeah. No, definitely this one for sure. Dude, why are you giving me that look? This is research. I'm doing research. For the thing I was just telling you about the other day. Were you not listening? Dude, I am not a Why are you calling me a pervert? I am not a pervert, alright? I am not Gaston. This is not Crash Bandicoot. I am not a pervert. Oh, procrastinating. So that's what I'm doing. Now I'm procrastinating. Okay. No, sure. That's fine. Procrastinating. Stupid chocobo dumbass mother. Where was I before I was rudely interrupted? Oh, okay. You know what? Yep. Nope. Scratch the other one. This is what we're doing. Alright, now where the hell did I put my lotion?
One time.
You're a guest whenever you want to be, but I need a Phoenix down.
No.
Give me a Phoenix down. Alright, fine. You're a little bitch.
Fucking hand away.
Well, welcome to Chocobo Central. This is the first episode. It's a new show. It's gonna be
the last show.
Well, the last episode for you, because you sit here
I'm not coming
and critique things that we don't need to discuss. Well, my name's Dan. I'm from the Current Gen podcast, which we're actually just going to put it right under the same channel, so that's will be, where you find it. But this here is my good friend Brandon. Brandon,
I'm not part of any podcast.
Say hello.
I'm here for this
one time. Podcasted.
I have podcasted.
If that's a word.
I have podcasted in the past.
But you and I did the Chocobros.
We did.
And then YouTube was being a little bitch and said, I'm going to take down your thing.
It was because you had stolen assets or something?
It didn't actually say.
Or something like that?
It was an incredibly vague email. It did not really specify whatsoever. I didn't know if somebody reported it.
I'm pretty sure there were some borrowed assets in some of the videos or something.
Well, but people do that on YouTube all the time. They'll cut out literally like a scene from a video game and, that's not,
Sure. But, as you're aware, a lot of stuff on YouTube does get claimed.
It was
a dangerous game. I'm saying you were playing a dangerous game.
YouTube's a little bitch.
You were playing a dangerous game and you got burned.
All right, well,
you had what was coming.
I guess this is gonna burn also, because
Are you gonna do the same shit?
I'm gonna absolutely do the same thing. I do whatever I want. Fuck the police.
All right. Come get me, pigs.
But so this is gonna be the new thing. Brandon's joining me here today, and then if you want to join other times, that's fine.
Well, let's get through this. Yeah. See how you feel about inviting me back.
Yeah. Well, we've been friends for years, and I still tolerate you. So
yeah. In short bursts over 6 month breaks.
Technically, pandemic kind of intervened there, but we all have our opinions.
What pandemic?
Okay. All right. We're not. This is not going to be a conspiracy theory, Chocobo's conspiracy podcast.
Jokes.
But anyways. So we're going to discuss specifically 7 Remake because my good friend here, who actually introduced me to the series, just finished 7 Remake, finally.
I did.
And I say finally because literally Integrate just came out. So,
yep. I got to what, the chapter, after
3 or 4?
When you go to Jesse's family's house.
Yeah, so chapter 4.
Yeah, so I got 4. There,
which is a great chapter and a completely new original section.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. And it was good.
Yeah.
Aside from the new character, that was
the
worst addition next to everything else in this game we'll
discuss that chapter because I have very strong feelings about the music in that chapter.
I have no memory of the music in that chapter.
The track for that one particular scene is amazing. But yeah, so you finished it and I wanted to talk to you about it because I'm still clearly a fan of Final Fantasy. Obviously, I have more realistic expectations now than I did when I was younger. Like, for example, with...
shaded by the fact that they've lost complete track of what they want to do with that series. or the ability to do anything good with that series, rather.
Sure.
They might have a clear vision, but my god.
Well, you're the one that thinks 16 looks like...
Trash.
Like which,
complete garbage.
We can save that for another episode.
Yep.
That'll be the 16 episode. But I'm still a fan. Obviously, I have realistic expectations of certain things, and I am more critical of them because I love the series so much. I want them to do the best that they can. You seem kind of overall a little, kind of.
I would like them to do right by the series. Though,
sure, but I'm saying you're like a bit more further removed than I am.
Yeah, I haven't played through a mainline Final Fantasy game since 13.
Okay. Yeah. So that's a while.
But what even has there been since then? Just 15, right?
Well, there was 13, technically 14, but that's online. So, and then
I'm not an MMO person. So
yeah. Well, then they made the sequels for 13, and then
I've tried to play 2, and that was terrible. 13-2 was terrible. And
then 15. So yeah, and then just other random ones like World of Final Fantasy, just other random offshoots.
I'm not even aware what that is.
That one is, it's an original one. It's basically, you play a couple of new original characters and basically there's like a chibi version of them and then like the normal version of them and there's almost like a Pokemon aspect.
What did it come out on?
It was PS4, Xbox One. Okay. Right? But it actually was fun. Like the combat was cool. Like you stack the like monsters in the Final Fantasy world. Like almost kind of like you stack them up as like the small one and then like medium one, large one.
I don't give a shit about any of this.
Well, I'm just describing it because like it was fun, but like the look of it, I think is kind of what made people not as interested in it because it did look pretty like kiddish, like a little kid cartoon. Like
was it like a Crystal Chronicle style visuals?
Nicer. It was more
no, of course,
more Pixar-esque.
Okay.
But yeah, it kind of more along those lines of like more cartoony as opposed to realistic.
Okay.
So, but yeah.
So my relationship to Final Fantasy is basically Final Fantasy VII. Was the first one I played. Then 8 and 9, and then 6, and then 10, and then 13.
Yeah, you introduced me. So, I mean, obviously, it did like the origins back on Chocobros, but we'll just kind of really quickly sum up. I came over to your house one time to hang out. You were playing 8.
Okay.
You were on the Cactuar Island, I think,
Okay.
farming for AP.
Yep. That makes sense.
You went off to do something, I don't know, answer the phone or whatever, and you're like, hey, just
So
like,
you
play
were
this.
you weren't part of the whole thing in middle school where like we were all playing 7?
No.
Oh wow.
No, because I played 8 first. That was at your house. Wow. And you let me borrow 7 later on, but 8 I think kept renting from like Blockbuster.
Mm-hmm.
And then eventually I asked my mom to buy it for me, but I was like super far into the game and I just didn't know. Yeah. So by the time like I had actually bought it, I was basically like, I already had like the Ragnarok airship and all that. So, but yeah, I was,
like my memory of like where that falls in the game is a little hazy, but
yeah, it's pretty far in. But yeah, you're the one that introduced me to it. So it's just funny how the tables have turned.
Yeah, no, I get passed the baton to you and I abandoned ship.
You did. Stupid jerk.
Because everything after 9 was basically garbage.
Nope. 10 is amazing. Shut your damn mouth.
Everything after 9 is basically garbage.
10 is amazing.
10 is okay.
10 is amazing.
13's okay.
We're not here to discuss any of those other numbers.
We are not.
We're going to discuss
We are here to discuss the abomination that is Final Fantasy VII Remake.
Okay. Abomination is a stretch. That's a huge stretch.
It should be a war crime.
A war crime? Okay.
Or some sort of
You like to be
international crime.
You like to be,
hyperbolic.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah.
But I thought we'd start real quick, and we just watched it because Brendan couldn't remember if he'd had actually seen it or not.
The tech demo.
The tech demo. Yep. So what actually started the whole thing was the tech demo that they showed at the 2005 E3 for Final Fantasy VII. So basically, using the graphical capabilities of the PS3, they made...
I mean, it was a cutscene. Like, a PS3 game wouldn't have looked like that.
No.
But yeah.
But it was the opening of 7.
Yeah.
Using, like, what would be the graphics of a PS3 version of Final Fantasy. And obviously, that's what sparked...
An idealized PS3 version of Final Fantasy.
Sure.
No PS3 game.
Well, that's what a tech demo is,
Yeah,
it's like, hey, this is just, like, super
it's like, here's an
looking.
unrealistic idea of what a game could be.
I mean, because it didn't even have gameplay or anything, so it's like, who knows what that would have looked like. But the bottom line is, it's basically what started... That's what ignited the fervor, everybody on the internet being like, I need this for, how many years?
I mean, everyone wanted it forever anyway, and then that was like them kind of throwing them like some breadcrumbs, like, hey, like, we're thinking about it, and that instilled hope in people to think that it might actually get made.
It's interesting because people now, like, some people complain about how there's too many remakes nowadays, and it's funny because it's like, it's technically almost like the first, like, kind of remake that didn't actually become a remake until later on.
And it's one of the first things that's actually called a remake that I think doesn't deserve that. I think that's...
Remake doesn't mean to me, and we'll discuss that about the ending. Remake,
I think it's a bit of false advertising in this case.
Well, no, I think it just doesn't mean what you think it means. I think it means something else.
Okay, name me other remake games that have done what they did with this.
No, but I'm saying the use of the title... The use of them using the word remake in the title for this game, to me, and I've seen rumors and other people think it as well, it doesn't literally mean remake of
clearly.
Yeah.
Clearly.
Right.
Yeah.
But it's to throw you off, so to speak, I think. That it's literally
Which is kind
just
of
to throw
a
you
fuck
off.
you.
Well, not really.
No, dude, the entire game is a fuck you to the fans.
Okay.
Like, no,
right.
I'll get into it.
Let's get there.
I'll get into it later about what I think about.
See, this is why I am the passionate one about Final Fantasy in this game.
I got passion.
Negative Nancy over here. But yeah, basically, they had the tech demo. Yoshinori Kitase, who, has produced many Final Fantasies, like years later, basically discussed, that they didn't necessarily regret doing the tech demo because obviously people just kept badgering them about it for years and years and years. He quote, "It was the right thing to do at the time," which I don't know what the hell that means.
What does that even mean?
I don't know if that means from a business perspective, like,
just to reinvigorate the series and interest in it or something.
Sure. I don't know. But
or to like have them be able to justify, they were able to make the pitch based off the reaction to that to pull the wool over the developer's eyes or the publisher's eyes, to get them to approve making the abomination that is Final Fantasy VII Remake.
Yeah, that many years later. Yes, they were planning for over a decade.
Yeah, they planted the seed. Dude, you would have to plan to be able to pull this off.
But yeah, so, I just think that's interesting because, again, that's about 16 years ago that thing was introduced, and here we are years later, just, year after year, people saying they wanted it. And then 7 Remake was officially announced during E3 2015. So 10 years later, a decade later, it was actually announced, and they had a trailer, like a teaser trailer. The E3 of Dreams, I like to call it, because that was the E3. It was one of the 2 best E3s as far as I'm concerned. It was the one where they announced Shenmue 3. And they re-revealed The Last Guardian.
If that's the bar for the E3 of Dreams.
When I say E3 of Dreams, I'm talking about just strictly the hype of the moment. Like, not so much the quality of what the game ended up being.
Or what deserved that much hype.
Sure.
Yeah, none of those deserved that hype.
I mean, I don't have...
That is funny. That it is an illustrious...
yeah. Well, I think it's just more...
company of Shenmue 3 and The Last Guardian.
Well, I think it's just more the moment, because I don't think anybody really truly anticipated that ever being a thing. Like Shenmue 3.
No.
But then also Last Guardian was in development hell, for so long, and then they re-revealed it as a PS4 title.
That's actually funny that there is a through line, for all 3 of those games, which is like, the fans demanded that they follow through with them. Because I'm sure they probably would have wanted to cancel The Last Guardian, but people were so excited about it.
Yeah.
That I think, because I mean, even Sony made a big thing about, like, no, like, we are going to do this.
Yeah. Well, I can't remember his name, but the dude that was like the director of, Last Guardian, he did, what is that when you're running through the desert?
Journey,
thank you. Yes.
Did he?
No,
that's
that's
not him at all.
Never mind.
Yeah,
Not Journey. But he did, Eco. There we go. Thank you. Eco. And then there was another one. There was another one in between that. Shadow Colossus.
Okay, yeah.
There we go.
Yep.
See,
those 3 are
I was going off in a different direction.
Journey.
I was not going in the right direction.
Journey was a beautiful game.
Yes.
And to be fair, Shadow of the Colossus is an amazing game.
Sure.
Eco I never played, and Last Guardian I never played.
Yeah.
They all look like quality
but
games.
They have
I'm not actually judging those.
They have a lot of fans, so it was obviously just an important moment. But
and they seem like quality products. I'm not actually shitting on those games.
Sure. I mean, are you sure?
Yes.
Okay. They're not abominations.
No.
So those aren't abominations.
I didn't play.
But 7 Remake is.
I played Shadow.
All right, shut up. Yeah. So at the time, it was unveiled that CyberConnect 2, who was like kind of the main developer that did a lot of the Naruto games, was actually going to be making the game. After a couple of years,
which was the first sign.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, I think those are quality games, but like
but it doesn't qualify you to remake one of the most beloved games.
I think maybe they chose them because they were actually known for kind of developing things quickly, like getting games out fairly quickly. And I think at the time Square was just like, we want this out quickly. But then after a couple of years, no news was coming out. And then in 2017...
I hope their vision of it was more of like, hey, we're just remaking this beloved game. Like, so there's not much creative work that needs to be done. We just need technical know-how. And obviously, like, they were going to reimagine it in a fully 3D world and have to reimagine the combat. But I imagine they weren't thinking of like, oh, we need some top-tier developer to remake this game.
Sure.
If they're going to stick to
it being one full game.
Well, and stick to the vision of the original.
Sure. I mean, who actually knows? Because they never... Basically, I think just there was like maybe an interview where Nomura said they just weren't happy with the progress that they were putting out. So in 2017, then the development was shifted to being in-house. So...
Oh, okay.
It was literally a couple years later, and they were just like, yeah, we're not happy with what CyberConnect's doing. So,
yeah, see, this is how like out of touch with the Final Fantasy stuff. I didn't even know it switched studios.
Yeah, basically then they brought it in-house. They're like, we're just going to do this because this obviously is very important and we don't want to screw this up. Because, I mean, the bottom line is Final Fantasy VII, like, you're remaking it. Like, if you don't do that right, it's not going to make as much money. Because,
I would argue that they didn't do it right.
Okay, well, sure. We're not there yet. She's
I'm
jumping ahead.
I can't.
Jumping ahead.
I can't listen to praise or, I mean, even anything that sounds like
no, of course you can't. Because God forbid anyone's positive about anything.
Not this.
But then it was given a full presentation at 2019 E3 and released April 2020. So that
was... Which is what, like 24 years after the original? It's
1997.
Right?
Yeah.
Roughly.
Yeah.
Give or take, I don't know, a month.
It's a long time ago.
Yeah.
It's a very long time ago. But yeah, that's just kind of like the beginning, how everything started. And then we can kind of just jump into just, starting to discuss the game.
Well, I mean, we don't have to jump right into my problems with like the story and stuff like that.
All right, so then hold on. So just right from the gut, like not even thinking about it, just Final Fantasy VII Remake pops in your head. Overall, do you like it? Yes or no?
That's way too simplistic of a question.
Just yes or no. Just what you feel in your gut.
I mean, if you're gonna boil it down to like, do I like it or not?
Yeah.
If I have
just
to
in general.
boil it down to that, no.
No? Okay.
And I think I got little inklings into what I didn't like about it throughout, but I would say the first 30 hours I enjoyed significantly.
Okay.
I really liked it.
Yeah, that's good.
I had issues with some of the stuff that they added, and then I think from chapter 16 on, they showed me that my fears and dislike of certain aspects of that game were fully justified, because those last 3 chapters were dog shit, and showed and
Okay.
made it very clear that they should not have been trusted.
We'll discuss that
remake.
because, and honestly, this is why.
And I am being hyperbolic. It's a video game, and I know it's not that big of a deal.
Hyperbolic might as well be your middle name, but
Sure.
But I think this. So for me, and especially with RPGs, and especially with Final Fantasy, this is the stuff that I really like is like the kind of like speculating about like rumors, or not rumors. I'm sorry, like theorizing on things that happen in the game.
Mhm.
And in this case, since there's obviously going to be more, there's going to be more parts. All the stuff that happens in this game, what does that actually mean for the future? And I think that potential is what's interesting, because. So I don't know if you are interpreting the game as what some people are interpreting it as, but I'm interpreting it a different way than you are.
Well, I haven't read anything.
Okay.
I have not read any reviews. I haven't read anyone's opinions. The only thing I did look up was like a bullet pointed list of like what the differences are between the original and that, because like my memory of the original is a little hazy.
Sure.
And in that talking about the differences, they did posit one theory about like there being alternate timelines or something.
Okay, there you go. Yep.
Which I'm not even going to touch on because I don't know and I don't care.
Well, that's the thing too. So that might not be your thing. So if it's not, then it's like, well, then automatically it's like, well, that's a detriment to the game if you're not into that sort of thing.
No, sure. I'm not even concerned about the idea of alternate timelines.
Okay.
Like that. I mean, if that's true or not, that doesn't even enter into my opinion of this game.
Well,
I have a lot more problems than this.
Sure. Well, I mean, do you want to kind of go by sort of what we have here in front of us? Do you want to go chapter by chapter?
We can go to your notes. We can start with your notes.
I mean,
you want to talk about combat.
Obviously,
right?
combat is a big thing because the original one was turn-based. It was a turn-based traditional RPG.
Did you end up ever trying the classic?
No.
Okay. You didn't even try it?
No, to be honest, no. Because
you could have switched it like per fight. You could have done one. Okay.
I know. But I think like once I did that first boss
I didn't
fight...
like it, but yeah.
No? Is there anything you liked?
No. The classic mode just doesn't.
Oh, the classic mode, you mean?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. No. Yeah. Like the. When
How does it actually? So is it actually like a meter that like kind of like it? Always...
Oh, it's exactly the same as it is. It's just you don't. I mean, you can still like you can actually like have it set to classic, but play normally.
Okay.
But if you don't control the character, the game will.
Okay.
It'll just move them around and attack.
But it doesn't have like an ATB that fills up and now it's your turn and then it depletes, fills up.
Well, it fills up exactly the way that it does in the normal game.
Okay.
It's literally the same. Because like if you take control of the character, it will just play like you have it set to normal. But if you don't touch the controller, in terms of like moving the character or blocking or attacking, it will do all those things.
Okay. Well, so
it's stupid.
Well, like obviously, so it's more of an action focused game.
But it didn't seem to function very well on classic mode because they didn't do the things that they didn't always behave intelligently.
Sure.
They didn't position themselves well, they didn't defend well, they didn't attack well.
Okay.
At least I only did it for I think 3 fights.
Okay.
And then was like, this isn't for me.
In my head, I feel like the classic mode, and it doesn't sound like what it is that there almost should have been a separate meter. Cause like in this game, the ATB meter boils down to there's 2 sections and you're using that as like a turn, so to speak, of like doing magic. Like, oh, now I depleted one chunk. Yeah. Whereas like with, ATB in turn-based games, it's like a time thing. It fills up, boom, now it's filled up. Now it's your turn, you do whatever, and then it depletes, fills back up. So
yes. And depending on which character you are, it determines how quickly the ATB fills up.
Right, yeah.
So like that in and of itself makes it so it does not work well as just a turn-based game.
And see, and that's why with the which is like kind of the normal like action RPG style that it's going for. I mean, there's definitely room for improvement, and the bottom line is because there's going to be additional parts, they can just kind of build on it and keep hopefully perfecting it. Mm-hmm. But like, I just think it like feels pretty good, but it's still trying to like I feel like it's an action game that is still definitely very much trying to be a turn-based game while moving your characters. Because like, there's still the strategy elements of like, if you're just blasting through your ATVs, then like, if you're not being strategic, like using the appropriate magic at, on the weaknesses of whatever the enemy is, or the stagger, there's the moves that do additional stagger. If you're just like being haphazard and just doing whatever, then you're not going to defeat enemies as fast, or potentially not defeat them at all, and they'll beat you. Yeah. So, but it's not a hard game, so, the bosses are harder than the normal enemies for sure.
Yes.
There's a bit more challenge with them.
Because there were times where like I would just be blowing through the game, having no issues at all, and then I would come up against a boss, and it would just be like a punch in the face where I was like, oh, I actually have to think about this. It's like you haven't prepared me to think about this at all.
Right. Yeah, and I think that's that's maybe that could be balanced.
And like and don't take that as like me criticizing the combat too much. I actually think the combat's pretty good.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I think honestly for what it is, and them trying to be like, listen, we're not doing traditional turn-based, and people being furious because that's just what people do. I think it ended up being pretty good, and they can just build on it. I think like some maneuverability stuff can be fixed. Like the air stuff sucks.
Yep.
The air stuff sucks.
One of my only criticisms of it would be, I wish you had more passive control over what the other two characters did.
Sure.
Like sometimes they would use abilities when I didn't want them to.
Okay.
And I wish I could, like, I almost wish it was a merger of, like, what was that system called in 13? Where you kind of, like, set them to focus on
I don't remember, like, the actual term, but yeah, I know what you mean.
Like, I wish you had a little bit more, granular control over, like, how they behaved.
Yeah.
Like, kind of had, like, oh, I want you to be more of a, like, a DPS, or more of a healer, or more of a, whatever. I wish they had introduced at least some of that. Even if it was, like, on, like, a way less, like, scaled back, in a more scaled back way than what they did with 13. Yeah. Because unless you were switching to them right when they got their ATB filled, which I got good at, I got like fine at.
Well, that was the notes, notes I was giving you. It was like, you have to basically bounce around, like.
Yeah. And once I started doing that, it was fine. But like, there were still times where like it was almost instantaneous that their ATB would fill up, and I needed something that they could do, and they wasted it. And I was just like, motherfucker! Like, I absolutely needed you to heal this person, or I needed you to do something.
So I think that's sort of the double-edged sword with the combat, because like again, when you had called me, and I was like, yeah. So basically, like the trick, at least for me, is you're switching every like few seconds. And that's either some people like that or they don't.
Yeah, no, when I had to switch every few seconds, I enjoyed it much less.
Okay. Yeah. Well, that's the thing. And I think it's if you get more comfortable with the combat and you're better at like rolling and dodging, but it also depends on what kind of attacks they're doing. If they're launching magic at you, sometimes it was a little trickier for me to get away. Like, I forget what enemy it is, but they'll throw like, wind, or arrow at me. And that seemed kind of hard to dodge sometimes, but.
Well, I mean, a lot of the abilities are not dodgeable.
Yeah.
So, like, guarding is the only way to deal with some things, because, like most of the abilities track to you.
Yeah,
like, no matter what, they're going to hit you. And the game's not good at telling you which is which. I mean, it actually doesn't even try. So, like,
which is which of what?
Like, what abilities you can dodge.
Oh, okay. Sure.
So, I basically stopped dodging. Like, unless it was painfully obvious that it would work.
Yeah.
Like, I would still try, but guarding became my biggest mode of defense.
Yeah.
And to be fair, you don't need to do that constant switching thing, except against, like, some of the more difficult bosses. So you can kind of, like, just switch and kind of play with, like, being Barret for a while, or being Tifa or Ares for a while. Ares. Yeah.
Because, I mean, if you're...
Did you catch that? Ares?
You mean the wrong name?
Yeah.
If you're good at timing the blocking... Sometimes I have trouble with that in certain games, and I think in this one I didn't block as much as I probably should have, and I think that's where I sort of adopted switching around a lot, which worked for me, because basically what I would do is, the ATBs would fill, I would switch, because the aggro would be on Cloud, for example, so then I would switch to Tifa, have her do, like, her kind of, like, extra stagger ability, and get some hits in, and then when the aggro's on her, switch either back to Cloud or to Barret or whatever. And that would build a stagger meter up pretty quickly for me. So for me, that was like, well, this is clearly like the good strategy.
It definitely works.
But then what you end up doing is you're switching around so much that it's like you're not focusing on the action one character, so it just basically feels like you're just flipping between all these different angles and characters. But like, I guess in a way that's kind of like a turn-based RPG. I mean, you have one character, you use a move, and then it goes to the next character. It's just not as visually, active, I guess, because the camera's just behind the party. So, but yeah, I think really there's a good base there.
Yeah, no, the combat, I think the combat is one of the things I had the least problem with.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, I think I barely even had a problem with the combat. Like, I do think that, the air stuff sucked.
Yeah, and honestly, with the Yuffie DLC, it's actually much better because she's more agile and ninja-like, so it actually works pretty well with her. It's still not, like, amazing, but it definitely is better, and I think there's, like, some things that they kind of added to her, like, moveset that, like, makes it a bit more manageable.
So you played it?
Yeah. No, I finished it. It's not, like, super, super long, but it's still pretty fun.
Yeah, I wanted to play that before we did this, but I'm a procrastinator and a lazy piece of shit, and I actually only beat the remake this morning.
Oh, okay.
Because I got to the end. I got to the end of chapter 18, basically, like right before the last fight.
Yeah, at the bridge
on Friday.
Yeah,
and then just didn't do it till today.
Sure. Well, right? You can.
Well, I mean, are we? This is full spoilers, right? Obviously.
Yeah. No. Of course. Yeah. I mean, again, at this point, the game's actually like a year old, year plus old.
Oh, and the reason I stopped after chapter 4 was because I ended up securing a PS5 and wanting to wait till the PS5 version came out.
Sure.
So that is the main reason why.
That's fair.
I mean, I fell off just because of like life stuff after chapter 4, and then once I knew that there was a PS5 version, I waited for that.
Yeah. Well, that's fair. And dude, it runs like butter.
It runs real well.
60 frames.
Yeah,
so
that's how I have it. That's how I play it. Because like my eyes are kind of shitty anyway. So like I had it on the fidelity mode, and I liked it a lot. But the 60 is nice.
It is.
60 is nice. So I don't like lose any of that little slight decrease in resolution because my eyes are kind of.
Yeah, it still looks great. Like I switched it between the performance and fidelity mode or whatever, and I was like, I'm not with this game specifically. I'm not noticing that dramatic of a visual increase.
It's a bit, but it's not too significant.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I'd have to literally sit there and look, but like I went between them and I was like, it's not enough of a difference where I want to lose the 60 frames, the 60 frames is nice. Yeah. So, well, I'm glad you actually liked something about this game.
With caveats, but I did like something.
Hey, I had caveats too. The air combat sucks. So.
And the not tons of granular control over the side characters.
Sure.
And them being a little too autonomous.
Sure.
But not smart.
Sure.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
Fair enough. Your opinion sucks.
Yep. And we're back.
We never left. What are you talking about?
And we're back.
You're ruining the magic.
And we're back.
You're ruining the fucking Disney magic, alright? Because this is Disney quality stuff.
And we're back.
Disney quality. So we discussed the combat. You actually somehow had positive things to say.
With caveats.
I'm very proud of you.
Yep.
You're growing as a person.
Yep.
And it's nice to see you.
It's good to keep perspective and don't let things matter more than they are.
Well, I mean, it's just video games. I mean, I love Final Fantasy, but at the end of the day, it is just a video game. So.
But what they did with this game should put them in prison.
Okay. That's dramatic. I don't even want to know what you'd do to actual criminals. So,
I'm talking about actual criminals.
Okay.
All developers are criminals.
So we talked... Stop it. The publishers, maybe. All right, so we discussed the combat, and now we can go into the story, which it seems like you have very, interesting opinions on.
I'm curious, because I know I haven't read any reviews. I haven't seen anyone's theories. I think I already said that. And I'm curious if my theory... I'm sure I'm not the first person that thought of it. But either way, let's move through it, and then I'll
sure.
When we get closer to the end, talking about the ending, I'll tell you what I think is going on with this story and why it makes me so mad. I
mean, if you want to put, because you took the screenshots of each chapter screen, kind of use that as a frame of reference.
Do you? Okay.
Yeah. Sure. Just so we have something to kind of go off of, because, it is a lengthy game. And that's the thing.
It very much is.
That's the thing, too, with the original game, and I actually did replay the Midgar section on the original.
They stretched out 5 hours into 50.
Yeah.
Or 40.
4 or 5 hours into,
How long did it take you to beat it?
I don't remember, because basically I've played it, off of the same save file, so right now I'm at 110 hours, but I've played it, 3 times.
Okay.
So
it took me 40.
Yeah, I think,
first time through.
I'd say it was probably about that, yeah. And you did probably most, if not all, the side quests, or?
I took a picture of that, too.
Okay. Because I know that's, that's certainly going to add a bit of length to it. I mean, they're not super long, but
No.
they definitely
I did 22 of 26 of the side quests.
Okay. So most of them.
Most.
Yeah, most of them. Which, those, by the way, side note, not super great.
They were whatever.
But I mean,
it was just, because I couldn't, because I took out, grinding,
sure.
which I actually like in my, JRPGs. I was actually kind of missing that. So having an excuse to go fight was actually fine with me.
Sure. I just think the things that happen during the side quests, and I mean, this is definitely a common thing with a lot of games. Not a lot of games
that's why
really do them super well, but
that's why I didn't take specific exception with this, because
I just
they
think
were
missed
basic.
opportunity though.
Sure, but I mean, who does side quests good?
I know there's one or two I can think
I'm
of,
sure.
but it's not coming to mind right now.
Yeah.
Honestly, actually, Ghost of Tsushima has some pretty interesting side stuff.
Really, but I mean, I've heard people be super reductionary with those too, and kind of boil it down to
sure.
you chase a fox, and it's there's always a fox.
Yeah.
There's always, you know what I mean? If you want to be super cynical, you can boil down every game into all you're doing is going from point A to point B. You're just it's a fetch
Isn't that life?
Blah, blah, blah. Yeah, that's what I mean. There's not that many mechanics.
No.
Unless they're adding tons of mini games or whatever.
Yeah.
You're not gonna have much variation in your side quests.
Sure. I just
whether or not you're in the right mood or whatever to be charitable about it.
Yeah.
And
for me,
I was in an okay mood.
For me, it's more about just the is the actual character that you're meeting that's not even part of the main story interesting, and is sort of the dialogue with them interesting.
Sure. I mean, and I thought the whole thing with the Angel of the Slums
right
was the most transparent thing from the beginning. It was
Sure.
it's this little fat old lady.
Right.
Of course.
That's pretty obvious.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then she has this nightmare
daughter
who's
I can't stand her.
And it's such an odd character. She's a corporate journalist.
Right.
Basically, she's yeah, I lie.
Yeah.
I lie, and
and then she asks you to go do something for her, or pay for something or whatever. And it's eat a bag of dicks, lady.
What are we doing with this character? It was just kind of a silly character, and then to have them related was kind of silly. I was just okay. I just didn't know what they were trying to say, and maybe nothing. Maybe nothing.
I mean, who knows? But I did was it Leslie? The silver-haired dude? The one that's in front of the one that's guarding Don Corneo's mansion? He's the one with the hat and the jacket?
Oh,
he's a new character. Oh, I'm saying compared to some of those other ones. I thought he was at least a little bit there was something there.
Yeah.
Just a little bit.
Yeah. His character's motivation's kind of weird though, because he's there trying to kill Don Corneo.
Sure.
But what was he doing the whole time before you got around?
I think he was just trying to build trust, so then he can kind of be sneaky and take him out.
Yeah.
Perhaps that's how I perceived it, but
a lot of issues I had with the story of this. It's kind of the story, the issues I have with a lot of stories, which is and especially here because it's a video game where you're killing a lot of people, right?
Sure.
So they take no pause, no hesitation to kill thousands of Shinra soldiers and employees, whatever.
Just like Nathan
right?
Drake, he's always murdering pirates.
Which is whatever. I don't even care. That's video gaming bullshit. Whatever. But the idea that whenever they get someone who matters, someone who's pulling the strings, someone who's okaying these atrocities, they always hesitate and they always let them go. Every single fucking time.
So which character are you referencing?
Any of them. Don Corneo, they could have killed him a million times. Everyone at Shinra, they could have killed a million times. And they get these attacks of conscience. Fucking, not to jump too far ahead, but there's a part, a couple parts towards the end when, they could have killed these people who are main people who are driving the story forward, who are causing these atrocities, who are the power behind all this shit.
Sure.
And then when they're about to kill them, someone would be no, don't. And it's why? You've killed thousands. You've killed all the people who are who are just foot soldiers for this organization. But when you have someone who's actually making the decisions, you have an attack of conscience. What is that?
I think also too the other thing that sort of protects that, even if they did want to deviate and say kill Don Corneo, they wouldn't be able to. Because of plot ghosts. The plot ghosts, Brandon.
We're not going there yet, because that's where my theory of this.
A lot of this game,
bullshit of this game.
A lot of this game, I think, still is somewhat close to what the original was, but they expand on it. There's way more Jesse, Wedge, and Biggs. You actually get to understand who they are. Whereas in the other one, there's some lines of dialogue, but really again, Midgar section in the original one is like 4 to 5 hours. So you're getting what, like maybe a total of like 3 minutes of dialogue from.
But I mean, how much more did you get from Wedge than that? Like,
you get a whole chapter with them going up to the fourth chapter. You go up to the plate. You're getting the whole thing with like her mom and the dad being in the bed and
Jesse, sure. But I mean, the other two, I think I got more Jesse than anyone else.
Sure, but I'm saying
which I'm actually thankful for. Yeah, I think Wedge kind of sucked. Wedge is that one, right?
Yes.
Or was that Biggs?
You didn't like Wedge?
Not particularly.
No. I thought Biggs is less interesting because he's just.
He barely even had any. They didn't even cover him.
He just looks like a Charlie Sheen clone. Like,
yeah, sure. I think I also didn't like that it was Badger from Breaking Bad.
Yeah, I thought that was pretty cool.
Which is fine. Like, that's just me. Sure. That's just me being a dick.
Sure.
That like it just kind of took me out of it.
God forbid he has a job.
Yeah, no, I'm not like I'm fine with him having had the role, but I found him like his portrayal of Wedge to be a little meh.
Well, because maybe it's sort of, you can say it's talking about the story, but the portrayal of the characters. So obviously, it's a very difficult thing, I think, to try to be truthful to characters that don't literally have a voice when they, in the original version, 1997, PlayStation 1, there was no voices. It was all our imagination.
And I think they did pretty good by Cloud, Ares, and Tifa.
Sure.
So just so everyone, how many people listen to 2?
Yeah, 2.5.
Your mom, when your mom listens to this.
Your grandma.
So, in the original, obviously,
US version,
they called her Ares. And it was supposed to be Aerith because that's what the direct translation.
The mistranslation or whatever.
If it was translated correctly, it would have been Aerith here.
Right.
But she will be Ares to me forever.
I mean, if you want to keep calling her the God of War, that's fine. But...
Yeah, I like that name. It's a prettier name.
Okay, sure.
It rolls off the tongue better.
All I picture is just Kratos yelling out, Aerith!
I didn't play much God of War.
Okay. But anyways, yeah, I thought they did a pretty excellent job considering everybody has their own opinions. It's set in their head, like, this is what I think it should sound like.
Yeah.
I think for the most part, they were pretty well done.
I think Ares, Tifa, and Cloud are pretty good.
Yeah.
I think Barrett was mostly good.
Okay.
I mean, he was a little much in the original.
In the beginning.
Well, and anytime you're him, he's a little much. Like, when he always did they made him talk too much, I think.
He's passionate.
I think they just, repeated dialogue too often. Like, he would do, the victory theme.
Yeah, duh. Yeah.
And, do that a couple, I would have preferred if it was just, once.
Sure.
Like, one time to be like, oh, that's a funny nod to the
I think it should do that when you actually level up, but,
Sure. Yeah. It's a little more selective with it.
But I think it's also kind of funny and sort of trying to be, meta, that he's, kind of
No, sure.
Yeah.
But a little more sparingly used.
Yeah.
Like a dash of salt rather than
But I think that's sort of for me, it's when they do say the things multiple times, because it's they could only, I guess, afford so much dialogue to record.
Oh, sure.
Because of the budget.
But, be a little more sparing with it. They don't need to be talking so much.
Sure. But I like it.
Again, there's nitpicky bull.
So do you like the in-between conversations that they have when they're going through certain sections?
Yeah.
Because I really love
that. For the most part.
Yeah.
For the most part. Like I said, the characterization, I thought they did a pretty good job.
Okay. Yeah.
I enjoyed that.
Because that adds to them sort of building their...
Aside from the bullshit attacks of conscience where they don't make any goddamn sense and when they could really make some change in the world rather than only killing the soldiers and then leaving everyone else alive and...
Listen.
Fine.
There's many more parts coming. Who knows? 17 more parts. I mean,
Jesus Christ.
We'll get the. I mean, the bottom line is Sephiroth's got to go. That's the main thing. So.
Yeah, whatever.
But the beginning of the game, I mean, you start. You Cloud jumping off of the train. You're there with Wedge, Biggs, Jesse, Barrett,
and that was one of the first changes that I thought was stupid. When they first destroyed that first reactor, right?
Oh, you mean the original, it not being them destroying it?
Sure. In the original, they did it. They destroyed it.
Sure.
And in this one, they're I think they try to paint, they were hardcore eco-terrorists in the first one.
Sure.
And and to be fair, Barrett is still that.
Sure.
Still completely cool with collateral damage, still completely cool with, hey, the ends justifies the means. Right. He is still that kind of, morally gray character. Which I appreciate. But I wish they leaned into that a little bit more. Instead of, they start the game off with being they were just trying to do a little something, and then the evil corporation has all these ulterior motives, which is fine, inserting that, but I think they could have done that evil corporation shit with still keeping them a little bit more morally ambiguous. Not making them these,
But then that's, because in this one, what they're doing is they're trying to portray it as, like, Shinra knows what's going on, and they're trying to literally have, like, you know, them being sort of, like, videotaped and, like, the news and the propaganda of, like, being like, oh, look what this, you know, frickin' terrorist cell is doing.
Yeah.
So, and they're trying to make it worse.
I just think the story would have been more interesting if you keep that fine, but keep them being... this morally, like a little bit more morally ambiguous.
It could be them extrapolating on Jessie being more of a character because we're getting more dialogue of her having more of a conscience. Because in the original one, it's just her just being like, I'm part of Avalanche, I'm putting the explosive, or they're giving Cloud and Barret.
I think it also, they probably wanted to soften it just because it might hit different, like being fully realized, fully voiced, fully whatever.
Well, people are way more sensitive nowadays.
That too, and I think they might have thought it might hit different.
Yeah, I don't know.
But I would have thought, I wish this was a remake. I wish they adhered strictly.
Do you though? Because then you know what's coming each moment. You already know what's coming.
I bought Final Fantasy VII Remake. I thought that's...
But again, like, no, I think a part of me also...
Alright, how did you feel about Resident Evil 2?
The remake? Yeah. That was excellent.
It followed pretty closely.
I mean...
Pretty closely.
Yeah.
Pretty close.
But I mean, just because that follows more closely...
Closer than this.
Sure.
But I mean,
this is a different thing.
Did it take away from it because you knew where it was going?
I mean, for me, it's not... Like, I mean, Resident Evil's story overall is kind of like... It's there as popcorn fun, but I'm not, like, being like, oh, the story. I'm there just more for, like, being in the sort of, like, the world of Resident Evil.
Would it have been disappointing if this stuck closer to the original to you?
I don't know if it would have been disappointing, but, I mean, we're getting something unique, and I think that in of itself is still interesting. So... Because, again, the bottom line, like we were saying, is the original still exists. So.
Well, we were saying that off.
Yeah. But, and again...
like I said, I like being hyperbolic just because it's more fun for conversation.
Sure.
Like, I understand that this is a fucking video game, and, like, all the shit I hate about it, and all the bad decisions I think were made, and all, like, the kind of, I honestly, like, I'll get to it later, but I think, like, the contempt they clearly had for the fan base, when making this.
Sure.
I think bleeds through.
Well, I think that's exactly the point. I think that's hilarious.
I think it's kind of petty and kind of shitty.
Well, I don't think they're literally being like, haha, you're all stupid. I think they're just trying to kind of like be like, they're like toying with us a bit. Yeah. It's their thing.
The only reason this thing got made is because people have...
But it's their property.
Sure.
It's their story.
I'm not talking about what they should be allowed to do.
Sure.
Of course, like, I'm joking when I say that, like, it should be a crime.
I mean, I think if I made a game and people were being nitpicky and then I remade it years later, I probably would do something like that too.
But to this extent?
I mean, but again, I think overall, and again, we need to discuss the story from front to back, I think there's a reason for the changes. I think it is... So, I think some of it's hubris on their part. I think some of it's contempt. I think some of it's like they were tasked with remaking a beloved game, right?
And they were like, I truly think that they were like these narcissistic fucking storytellers who were like, well, what if we took this like beloved thing and then we just kind of did our own twist on it, but we're gonna sell it and pitch it and get people so excited about a remake of Final Fantasy VII.
Sure.
I think it was kind of false advertising. I think it was kind of a bait and switch. I think it was kind of shitty how they did it. Again, keeping in mind, obviously it's just a video game. It's not a big deal.
Sure.
It's whatever. But in the context of what this is, like just kind of keeping it in that vacuum, I think this was pretty shitty what they did.
I mean, I guess that's a bit extreme.
No, again, keeping it where it is, like outside of the context of this conversation, I obviously don't feel this strong about it.
Then why are you saying it shitty?
No, because like in terms of like to the fan base, the people who are passionate about
they were already saying that it's not going to follow it one for one before it even came out.
This is a far cry from one for one.
I don't think it is.
Okay.
I think there's definitely.
But I mean,
I think there's definitely changes, but so you know what? I'll just say it straight up. It's because of Sephiroth, I think, and that's where sort of the theorizing comes into. Because, all right, so. Did you?
Do you want to go through it a little bit by bit? Because I do want to talk about how much I hated that motorcycle guy,
Roach.
I think that was
Roach. Roach is the best character, obviously.
Well, I think this is kind of emblematic of like what I'm saying. Like every edition that they made was for the worse.
And I mean,
every single one.
To be fair, I think that the newer stuff, a lot of the newer stuff is kind of like, I could have taken it or leave it.
And I don't even think that's just me being like nostalgic, like looking back when because like that character is, sure, some people probably like him. I think he's objectively stupid.
No, he's definitely yeah.
He's like added nothing.
He's like later. Trying to think. He's like just super like later cartoony like Nomura bullshit.
Yeah, and why would you add something that is so inconsequential? Like that adds nothing. To the story.
No. So and that's another thing because there's that scene where President Shinra where he's projecting himself and he's talking to them when they're at the fifth reactor where he's talking about the cells degenerating because of the Mako. He's talking to Cloud and he sees that his eyes are blue and he's like, and he's talking about the degeneration of their cells.
Yep.
I think what's happening with Roach, he's obviously already sort of a lunatic. But as the future parts come out, I think what it's going to be, it's like he's going to be breaking down and becoming more insane and more unstable.
So like even like cognitively they break down.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And that's sort of the thing with Cloud. And in Advent Children...
I thought that was more like his connection with Sephiroth. I thought Sephiroth was fucking with him. No. You think it's just like...
I think it's the Mako. It's the Mako poisoning his mind.
Well, which would also make him connected, right? Because they're connected through that together in some way.
Well, I think it's more the frickin' Sephiroth clones walking around, the hooded, reunion.
Yeah.
Well, so all right. So the game starts. Reactor. You blow it up. Blah blah blah. You go to the next chapter. Is it when you're at Sector 7, or are you at Sector 7 at Chapter 1?
Chapter 1 is just at least the breakdown I saw was just helping blow up Reactor 1, their goal, blah, blah, blah.
What is the actual start of Chapter 2?
Chapter 2 is Avalanche has successfully blown up Maker Reactor 1 and has fled into the passageway that leads to Sector 8.
Okay, yeah, so basically it's right after. So basically it's when they're trying to escape.
Yeah, they're heading back to Sector 7.
Getting to Sector 7, and you meet Tifa for the first time.
Yep.
Tifa is a beautiful digital woman. So yeah.
Yeah, no, it was actually kind of weird. Like that's what I meant about like the characterization for like Tifa and Ares was so good because like I was what
I mean we were young. 1997 we were like 15, 14.
Yeah.
Around that.
No, but 96.
No, I'm sorry.
No,
like 8,
no, like 12.
No, right? My math is all over.
Yeah, no, yeah.
Well, all right. So in 2004,
I was 12 years old.
I was going to say in 2004. Okay, I was trying to do the math.
We sound real stupid.
I mean, dude, we're in our 30s. Time just
and we're
goes.
Real stupid.
Time just goes.
I was 12 years old.
Time just goes, dude. Nothing matters.
So it was weird as a 35-year-old man falling in love with these characters again, just because like my 12-year-old self did.
Right.
And I'm just
now they're fully voiced.
I'm 35
and like
years old. What am I doing?
They're emoting. Like...
And I mean that very minimally. I'm not.
No, sure. Right. Not like the thing.
Because I think there are dudes who are like in love with like.
I mean, you saw the image of that thing that I made, right? With Tifa.
Yep.
So
yeah. So there are people like you, and I don't mean like that. I mean like just like the characterization.
Right.
Was pretty good.
Yeah. So you meet Tifa. You meet Marlene. Then there's then you're hanging around Sector 7, which, I mean, did you at any point, because again, I'm just the nostalgia and just still being a huge fan, so when you get shown the apartment and then when you wake up the next day and it's broad daylight, did you just kind of look up at the plates above you and just kind of be like, holy shit,
I did that a lot throughout the game.
It's just insane.
Just to see it beautifully recreated, how my memory of it, obviously my memory of it was still
because you weren't looking up, you couldn't.
But seeing all of the environments fully realized was
it was
really
insane.
Cool. It was really cool.
Yeah, because I mean, it's just and they kept saying oh, we got to make this multiple parts, and people were like, what are you talking about? It's well, it's a huge game, and it's oh, but originally you fit it in one disc, and it's when they're doing it to this scope, it's I can kind of get it.
But people like that aren't serious people.
Sure.
Sure. So I don't even entertain things like that, because it's the idea of recreating all this stuff in 3-dimensionally and beautifully done, beautifully voice acted, really fleshing out the story. Of course it wasn't going to be one thing. At least not and keep the scope of the original.
Yeah. And especially if you're playing on Intergrade, because there's blurry textures. There was the whole, I don't know if you know the door
I
meme.
saw people say that when I heard that there was a PS5 version.
There's definitely stuff in the background that on the PS4 version it's a bit more blurry. But on the PS5 version, it's definitely not. And just look at the middle pillar like where the, you got all the plates above you. If you look at the middle pillar and just like all sort of like the pipes and like kind of like where the railroads are cutting through with the trains, it's just like the detail is insane. And just all the kind of like lights and everything, and just like, it's just the attention to detail is just insane.
Yeah, no,
it's completely insane.
Really beautifully done, which is why I think it makes me so mad, like the changes that they made, because like had they, like they really had something pretty amazing here, I think. And I think the artistic choices they made to deviate from the original really hold this back.
Okay.
And I mean, it makes me, I think genuinely after beating it, I'm not even excited about what comes next.
I mean, I guess it depends on what they do.
But, yeah. So, okay.
So chapter 2, then, you go to...
Well, we don't have to go, like, exactly chapter by chapter.
Well, I'm just kind of using that as a frame of reference. But chapter 2, then you go to Sector 7, and then you get to, eventually, chapter 4, which is a completely new... not in the original game, so it deviates from the original game.
That's the Jessie stuff going to her house and everything. Yeah.
So this is where you get to kind of interact mainly just with Jessie, Wedge, and Biggs.
Yep.
So you're getting more characterization there, and just kind of clearly Jessie super wants Cloud's balls, and Wang just all up in her face.
Yeah.
She just wants it all up in there.
Yep. Just drag it across her.
Yep. Just drag it. Yeah, exactly. And there's that bike scene, where you're fighting Shinra and robots and so on and so forth.
That's where we meet that
and
guy.
You meet Roach for the first time, and he's all cackling like a lunatic with his weird, super long mullet.
Yep.
Yeah. It's,
I feel like I've said enough about
a little sexually ambiguous, because he definitely seems like he's a little into Cloud.
That's pretty much.
A little bit into Cloud.
Yeah, sure.
Like a little bit.
Yeah.
A little bit.
Can you blame him?
No, Cloud's he's a beautiful man.
He's a beautiful man.
So you fight him on the bikes, and he goes away. And then you go up to the top plate switch. When I got to that, because in the original game, you don't really get to explore any, like, top plate areas. Like, this is like
is that true?
I think there's, well, cause when you're at the reactors, technically, I think when you're escaping, maybe, like, in one section, you're technically up top, but, like, you're not like on the streets.
No.
Because in this, like, you get up top.
Like I said, my memory of the original is, like, I was literally 12 years old.
Yeah, there's no area on the top side on the original one where you're, like, you got streets, and, like, even a couple of cars will pass by sometimes if you just actually kind of walk around there. And it just looks super cool. Like, I don't know why, but there's just something, like, really unique about that, probably because it just wasn't in the original. So
and when it's fully realized like it is, I think it's such a sharp contrast to, like, the slums underneath and stuff, and, like,
how grimy they are, and everyone's just down there, like, basically like they're homeless.
Yeah.
So yeah, it just looks super cool. And then you go to Jessie's house, because Jessie's trying to, like, what is it? She's trying to get the certain component for, like, the explosive, because they're going to blow up Reactor 5.
Her father?
The key card, I think, or something? Like a key card or something?
Yeah, apologies for us not having the best memory of these things. Well, I'm sure it's painful for people who actually remember.
Yeah, well, I mean, they might be young and we're old men, so I don't really care.
Yeah. You're here for my knee-jerk reactions and overblown criticism.
Exactly.
Not for my memory.
I appreciate it.
Yeah.
But so
you're here for those.
Yes. So then you infiltrate this sort of, like, base area that's, like, right down the street. So she can go get the component, and you need to do it. You need to create a distraction for her.
Yep.
You, Wedge, and Biggs. So you go in there, and you're fighting a bunch of Shinra soldiers and some of their mechs and whatever. And eventually things escalate, and then Roach shows up.
Yep.
So then you're fighting him like he's not on his bike. You're fighting him one-on-one. The fight is kind of whatever, because it's just like a one-on-one sort of duel.
Yeah, this is when I was still on PS4, so this is a while back for me.
Yeah. But, like, the song... Like, it's an original song. It's called Ignition Flame.
Oh, this is... Yep, okay.
Yeah, sure. Ignition Flame. It's an original song. It wasn't in the original game. It's one of my new favorite, like, just Final Fantasy songs, like, ever. Like, I just think it's an awesome song.
Well, Seven had an amazing soundtrack to begin with. Like,
yes.
I'm not one of those soundtrack people who actually, like, listens to video game soundtracks.
Yeah. I only do it with Final Fantasy, to be honest.
Seven was the only one I've ever done it with.
Yeah.
Like, I know it's probably not, like, the most exciting song on it, but, like, Cosmo Canyon was my fucking shit.
Yeah,
I used to, like, fall asleep to that as a kid.
That sounds fantastic.
It was awesome. Like, just as a kid, because, like, when I needed to, like, just chill, because if it was, like, loud in the house or something like that, I would put that on. And,
I love just the theme music of just being on the world map. Mm-hmm. Like, just the basic Final Fantasy theme.
Yep, it's beautiful.
Yeah, it's fucking gorgeous.
So much of that soundtrack was amazing. Yeah. So I don't deny that that's probably good. Because it's still the same composer, right?
Uematsu did compose, yeah.
Yeah.
Did he
do that song?
I think so, yeah. I'm pretty sure he did, yeah.
I trust him.
Yeah, exactly. He's a genius. I'm going to be so bummed out when he dies because he's like 80-something, I think, or like up there. He's an old dude, so it's going to be super sad. But yeah, like that chapter overall is just unique and interesting, and there's some interesting stuff that you see. I just really like that song. And again, you're just kind of getting a little bit more of Wedge, Biggs, and Jesse.
Yeah.
And then you parachute down, and then eventually you get to the point where you get like this whole full blowout. We didn't mention the plot ghosts, because that actually happened earlier on when you meet Aerith.
So it's like that was one of the things that like when that happened, I was like, this wasn't
the Whispers.
This wasn't in the original.
No, it was not.
And yeah.
So
and like as the story progressed, I was like, okay, this definitely.
Yeah, no, it was not.
But when it first happened, and I was like, wait a minute, were they in any of the movies?
No.
Okay.
People have speculated. There's a scene in Advent Children at the very, very end where Sephiroth. So, did you watch Advent Children?
Yeah, which is why I thought, like, I was trying to remember, I was like, was it in the original game, or was it in the movies, or was there nothing at all?
So, when the main dude there, I think it's Kadaj, when he turns into Sephiroth.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, it's at the very end, but he turns, he absorbs that part of Genova, he turns back into Sephiroth. Or Sephiroth, I guess, consumes his body or whatever, because, you know, he's not just a memory, as he says.
Yeah.
He, like, summons, he does, like, the sky turns really dark, and there's almost, like, this sort of, like, it almost sort of looks like it's the ghosts, but, like, really, like, kind of smushed together, so people have, like, thought that maybe there's a connection there, because...
See, I doubt that.
Well, so...
Because, like, I have a theory about the ghosts that we'll get to as it progresses.
Well, the ghost is clearly the developers also being like, nah, screw, like, yeah, you want everything to stay exactly the way it is. That's what the ghosts are trying to do. They're trying to keep everything...
The ghosts are a stand-in for the fan base.
Yeah, they're trying to keep everything exactly the way it's supposed to be.
Yeah.
They're trying to...
This is what bothered me about, like, the hubris of these developers, right? So, like, the fan base is, like, a stand-in for the fan base. The Whispers are a stand-in for the fan base. So that means that they see themselves as like these heroes fighting against the will of these Whispers. Like
I guess if that's how you're interpreting
it. I think just like how else do you read the story except for a hypercritical like the fans really want us to adhere to this story and fuck that, like we are going to we don't need to follow that. We're going to break free to
I'm just taking it
very our own creative. We're on the edge of creation and we're going to make something all new and holy.
I'm taking it very literally, and it's the planet's trying to protect what is supposed to happen. So that's what it is. So I'm just taking it literally.
No, but it's clearly a stand-up for the fan base.
No, obviously.
And it's
obviously.
And it's ridiculous.
And a lot of definitely a lot of reviews and you know when I was watching videos like this dude.
That's what I was saying. Like I haven't read any of that stuff, but I imagine I'm obviously not. And I mean,
a lot of people were like that was a little too on the nose,
way too on the nose.
Yeah, and it was kind of goofy, but
like,
I get it.
Not even goofy. It's like you can tell they have so much contempt for the fan base by like literally.
I don't know if it's really that dark of contempt. Like you're making it sound like they want to like literally wring our necks. Like
no,
like Nomura and Katase are like, Urgh! Like, but I just think they wanted. Listen, it's their story and they wanted to put a twist on it. That's just the bottom line. So
no, I think they
wanted to put a twist on it because again, this is potentially not the same timeline. So if that's the case,
but then it's meaningless.
But it's not though, because again, the original game at the very end, you could interpret it as either when Meteor was coming down and then they were using Holy, like Holy might have not actually done what it was supposed to do. So people have actually theorized at the end of 7 where you see Aerith's face, it's just kind of showing her face like, oh shit, like Meteor actually did touch the ground and everybody's dead. At least around Midgar, because then it shows the 500 years ahead, where it shows Red 13 running with a couple of his kids. But it shows Midgar all kind of like abandoned and sort of destroyed.
Yeah.
So some people have theorized maybe like that's actually what the end, you know, that it did end there. I think even Katase has said like, yeah, I think like maybe we kind of were like discussing that at the time. Like, you know, maybe that's how you could interpret it, maybe not, because they try to be cryptic because they don't want to literally say.
Yeah, I hate that shit.
So I think it's almost...
It's not fucking Lost. We don't need to go down that, like...
Well, this also ties into the whole Aerith thing that happens later on in the game and a certain moment. You know, now that the ghosts are gone, which, you know, discuss further on. Now it's just kind of no holds barred.
But that's what I mean. Like, it's so stupid. Like, they dangled this remake in front of us for so goddamn long. Spent the entire game just being like, hey, we're fighting against your expectations and what you want. Like, we are, like, we have these things that stand in for the fan base who want us to stick to the story. We are bucking that at all, like, as hard as we can. And then by the end of it, we're completely shed of any expectations and we're gonna just do what we want. And it's like, okay, then fuck you. I don't even want to come along anymore.
Well,
because like I wanted Final Fantasy VII Remake.
Well, then that's fine. You're
well,
allowed.
No, again, yeah.
You're allowed to want that.
Yeah.
And I mean, to me, I'm fine with what they're doing because they've also.
But the way that they end it like that, like, hey, the gloves are off. We are not bound by this anymore.
Sure.
Like, what are you even looking forward to?
I mean,
more great new characters.
I think if it's literally
more great new characters like Roach.
I think if it's literally like 90% different, then yeah, that's an issue. And I think I
think it's clear that's what they're doing.
I don't think it's gonna be. I think they're still gonna follow.
I think the entire game was to say exactly that.
But
like,
they also could be
fuck
doing
your expectations. We are going off the rails.
But that's the thing.
I mean, they even did the whole thing like. They, Sephiroth brought him in, like, we're on the edge of creation, and, like, we have bucked, like, we have separated ourselves from the
But they could easily be doing that just to make you the way you're now all riled up, and then they're just like, yeah, like, most of the through lines of getting to Calm, and then going to the Chocobo, stable, there, and then, you know, each location that you go to and the moments that happen are still gonna happen, just there's gonna be twists on it.
You think?
I mean, I don't know, but I'm saying that could still...
I think what they've laid out makes it so, like, you have zero...
I think they've laid this out because they want to give people hope for certain things, and they're going to take it away from you, potentially.
Well, I think they already did. I think they've already basically said, hey, we are not following any of this.
They've said both. They've been super
critical. Okay, well, I haven't been following...
Well, right, that's what I mean.
Saying, but I'm saying with what they put out, the way I walk away from this game is... Like I said, from chapter 16 to 18, I was like...
Hey, you're jumping ahead chapters. You're jumping ahead.
No, but I'm saying, like, it undid everything I enjoyed in the 30 hours before. To me.
You're jumping ahead.
Yeah.
So that...
Get me pissed!
So Placos show up. Jessie gets her ankle injured, so that's what forces Cloud to have to go on the mission to Reactor 5. So then at the end of Reactor 5, he falls off, lands through the church, meets Aerith. Again. So then, you know, then he's going with Aerith to her house, which then he's gonna leave. I forget why.
Well, the mother wants him to leave.
Right. The mom wants him to leave, but I'm trying to remember why he was just like, all right, I'll just go with you. Maybe just to kind of make sure she was safe. I forget.
Wait, when?
Well, when he falls through the church. What's his face shows up, with the red hair.
Yeah. Well, I think she was like, oh, I'll show you how to get, she was like, I'll show you how to get to, like, the train station or show you how to get back.
Sure, okay, so she's just, right, because she's trying to guide him because he doesn't know where he's going.
Exactly.
So, yeah, so eventually then he gets back home, or brings her back home.
Well, she's like, it's late, you should stay.
It's late, stay for dinner. Yeah. But the mom says, I need you to leave because obviously there's the history with...
See, I thought she was gonna end up being a villain.
The mom?
Yeah, I thought like she had, like...
She was just trying to protect her because of the relationship with Zack.
Yeah, I forgot.
Okay.
I forget that whole thing.
She, at this point, Aerith and Zack had already known each other and actually fallen in love with each other. Yeah. And then he left.
That's from the beginning, from the original, right?
And they even extrapolate that on that prequel, Crisis Core.
Yes. But I mean, that's all, like, regular Final Fantasy stuff.
Yes.
Because so much of this undid a lot of the previous stuff.
I mean, sure.
But that is something that was from the original.
Yeah. So then he leaves, but then Aerith's like basically snuck out and meets up with him as he's leaving the town.
Yep.
And then they go through the highway section, which is funny.
Oh, and man,
because you were bringing up the mechanical arms. I was like, yeah, I'm pretty sure that was there. And then I replayed it. I was like, no, they're not. I'm an idiot.
Oh, okay. Because I didn't remember that at all. But either way, that's that gameplay part where you have to sneak out of the bedroom without making any noise.
Oh yeah,
it was so goddamn stupid.
No, I know.
And it was almost impossible to do it.
You basically had to keep like nudging the I just kept nudging the analog.
The controls are not precise enough to be able to do that. It was really dumb. I think a lot of that stuff in the game, like where they were like, "Oh, let's do this like weird little
contextual thing."
Yeah, it's all really
like the high five, the like 5
that
minute.
I thought was kind of funny. I thought that was kind of funny.
Yeah,
but like I thought that little segment was dumb. I thought the hand puzzle,
the crane arms, mechanical arms to like pick her up, and
I thought that was all pretty dumb.
Sure.
Because, like, if you did it once or twice, fine, but, like...
There's only actually 3 sections for the arms, but the third one is like extra long.
I would have liked it once.
Yeah. Yeah,
But,
I mean, because in the original game, there's basically like it's one screen that the highway is literally one screen, and you see like the mechanical arm off to the side.
Oh, okay.
It's just
so
there.
they just like kind of incorporated.
Yeah, they're like, oh well, let's do a thing with the mechanical arm. It's just not super fun.
Yeah, it's not.
It looks cool, I think.
It
but
looks fine. It looks fine.
Well, I just mean the
But
arm
it's
moves pretty realistically.
It's a dumb
but-
design.
Yeah,
like
sure.
If you were in the construction business,
Sure, yeah, it doesn't make any
you wouldn't
sense.
design your thing
No,
like that.
you would just have a crane. But whatever. So yeah, then you get through that.
But yeah, that's.
And then you get to the playground where Aerith is going to leave you because you're trying to get back into Sector 7.
Yeah.
And then the Chocobo wagon, the Chocobo dragon, the old wagon there with Tifa in the back.
Oh, yes,
Tifa's
yes,
trying to sneak
yep.
into Corneo's. And Cloud's like, "What are you doing?" And she's like, "I'm trying to figure something out." And then he's like gonna like be like, "All right, I trust you."
She's
and then
like, "You know, I can do
Aerith's
this."
like, "No." Like,
Yeah.
Aerith's like, "No, we gotta go help her." Like, so then that's when you get to Wall Market. So
Which is ridiculous.
the whole section is ridiculous, and there's a lot of new stuff there too.
Yeah.
Visually, it
and
just looks super cool.
Visually, it's really cool.
Yeah.
And that section, like that whole section, is like probably like the most like I don't even know how to say it. It's
Like new and interesting.
well, I mean, I guess like it feels like the first like big part in
Yeah.
that game.
Yeah, yeah.
Like outside of like blowing up the reactors or whatever.
Sure,
It's
sure.
like, oh, here's like the bulk of the game. It
Yeah,
felt
yeah.
Like. It felt like
Because it's like a bigger. Because like in Sector 7, it's like there's some side quests, but like it's just kind of like I don't know. It's just kind of like almost like sort of like a square, and you don't really do anything too interesting. Like at night, it
Yeah.
looks interesting because of all the lights and just like the kind of the friggin' metal city. But
yeah,
like
Walmart
is
feels like
just
the
super
centerpiece
flashy.
of the game.
Yeah.
To me.
Yeah, it's just very flashy and colorful, and it's like it's almost like kind of like these back alleys of like Japan and like all these little like food.
It's really visually interesting
stands.
and written.
Yeah.
It's cool. It's a cool thing. I think what's his name? Sam.
Chocobo Sam.
I hate that character.
so
I
so
hate
there's
that
so there's
character
three new
much.
characters. There's Chocobo Sam, Madam M.
Yeah,
Right?
I think I'm saying yeah, but I don't know.
Madam M, which is like the geisha.
Yep, I liked her a lot. I think they did a really good job
Dude.
with her. I think the voice actor did a really good job. I think all of that was good. I think Sam was
Her like
awful.
when she like explodes and she's like I forget what she specifically says. I wish I remember, but like when they have to do the fourth round. In the Coliseum, and she's just fucking furious.
Yeah,
she just snaps. Like that bit of dialogue was like the best. That was pretty funny.
Yeah, I
and-
think they did a really good job.
And then Andrea Rodea is the third one.
Yeah,
So he's the very
He's
flashy,
very
flamboyant fellow.
flamboyant guy,
Yes.
yeah. He's barely in it, but yeah.
Yeah. So basically you get into town and you want to get into Darn Coneo's, but then there's the whole, which is like where they're kind of borrowing from the original where like they need to get themselves all dolled up so they can sneak into Don Corneo's because he wants to marry some chick and really just use her and then throw it to the
But
side.
no one gets in besides the candidates. So that's what prompts Cloud
Yes.
to end up having to cross.
So yeah. Well, before that, you got to do some quests. You do the Coliseum because you got to get the money so you can go get Aerith's
the
dress.
$1 million dress.
Yeah.
Or whatever.
And depending on how many quests you do or certain things, like there's different dresses. I don't know.
But
if you
I
knew that.
thought it was how much you spent on the hand job by Madam M.
Yes, literally the hand job.
It's literally the hand job.
I think it is a couple other things because the other day I was replaying it and I did pay for the more expensive one and she had the worst dress.
Oh, which one's the worst? Maybe I had the worst dress.
It's
then.
the one where he that Johnny guy is just kind of like, all right, come on, let's go, and then like some cats like walk up there with her. Like, there's that dress. I forget what the middle one looks like, and then there's like the red dress.
The one that in your bullshit little intro thing that Cloud was wearing. I think which dress was that?
Well, there's also 3 dresses for Cloud.
Well, that's all I'm talking about.
Oh no, I'm talking about Aerith.
Oh, which one? So I she was wearing the red one for me.
Yeah, so you got the best one.
Okay.
Yeah, that's the one that's just like fireworks going off in the back. Like it's like, oh my gosh, she's gorgeous.
Yeah.
So yeah, you get her dress. The Coliseum. Was there anything you want to mention about the Coliseum? I thought the Coliseum was actually pretty cool
It was okay.
because I like the twist of like Hell House, which originally was just the goofy random enemy.
Yeah, I kind of hated that fight.
Yeah. It was a little annoying, but
Yeah, I mean that was just me kind of like again, it was kind of just like the pacing of the fighting because they would make it so you didn't even have to think about any fights. And then they would do something like that at you where it's like, oh no, there's something to this fight where you actually have to pay attention
because he changes his elemental attribute.
And they do it.
Or
There
affinity.
were parts where it was changing so rapidly that you couldn't even keep up.
Right, yeah.
And that was kind of annoying.
Yeah.
But then you kind of adjusted and was like, all right, let me make sure I keep an ATP meter full and ready for the change and wait for it or whatever.
Right.
So I mean, it was a little more strategic, so I'm not really complaining too much about that.
That's where sort of the extra strategy, I think, comes into play with switching between characters.
That felt like where like the difficulty curve kind of just ramped.
Yeah. I just thought that was a cool homage because like it was like, oh, like this house is a joke in the original. It's just this house that's a regular enemy, and then they turn it into like a boss fight. So I thought that was cool.
Yeah. See, like my memory of it, so like I didn't even realize that the Coliseum wasn't in the original.
Right. Yeah.
I was just like, oh, is this how it happened?
Those two guys, the announcer guys, I think their character models are in the original game, like the Don Corneo, when you go inside, and there's that scene where they're all trying to, like, basically, like, rape Cloud.
Okay.
Where you're running around as Cloud, and they're all slowly, like, zombie walking towards you. Yep. I think there's a couple of character models that actually look like them.
We skipped over the those shitty new characters in the
well, there's Chocobo Sam.
No, the tunnels, like the villain
those gang dudes, yeah.
Those guys are awful.
But like one of them, when you knock him out, he's like, "I'm dead. I'm super dead." I don't know why that for some reason cracks me up, but yeah, they suck. They're just dumb.
It just seemed like the writers were like, "We're so funny. We're so funny," and it's like this isn't that funny.
They're so witty. It's so witty. Which they show up in the Coliseum again, but like way more of them, which is funny, and you just destroy them.
Yeah.
But yeah, so then you deal with Chocobo Sam, Madam M. You get the dress for Aerith, and then it's like, nope, Cloud's got to get in there too.
Yep.
So we go to the Honeybee Inn, and there's a dancing minigame.
Yep, there sure is.
A dancing minigame where Cloud is dancing on stage with this super flamboyant dude.
Yep, it's a rhythm game.
Yeah, it's a rhythm game. And then it gets to the part where you finally...
But like, that was long. Like, that whole thing was like...
Like the dancing?
Yeah, it was a lot. It was a lot.
Maybe it just seemed longer.
It was way more ridiculous than I like, because like you had to do the whole cross-dressing thing, but like they ramped it up in this as hard as you could ramp it up.
In the original,
which was funny. It was funny.
Well, in this one, you go in there and you do that one thing, and then Cloud comes out with the dress. Yeah. In the original one, there's like 3 quests because you need the wig.
Okay. Yep.
Dress, tiara, I think. So they're just side quests. But in this one, it is a side. Well, it's not a side quest. It's part of the main plot. But yeah, he just comes out with the dress and he's all, embarrassed.
Yeah.
But now they can go to Don Corneo's.
Yep.
Go rescue Tifa. Then you get into Don Corneo's room.
Well, no, but that glosses over like how dark that shit is.
Oh, like, well, sure, yeah.
Like
it's essentially a brothel.
Well, I mean, it's worse than that.
Well, sure.
Like, the girls who don't get picked go into this room to get raped.
Yeah.
And it's just like this weird,
which they kind of interpret, they basically imply that in the original, too.
Yeah, I know, but I'm seeing it fully realized, actually going into the room where it's like, oh no, this is the rape dungeon.
Yeah.
It's like, this is where like these asshole fucking thugs just rape all the girls who don't get picked.
Yeah.
It's just like, my god.
Right.
Like, holy shit.
Yeah, it's a little dark.
And like, it just, they like glosses over it like it's like goofy, and it's just like, holy fuck. Like,
no,
this is awful.
Yeah, it's very bad. It's definitely very bad. Don Corneo.
Like, even that room, like, there's just, like, mattresses all over the floor, and those dudes are just hanging out, like, drinking, like, being like, ow. Yeah.
Yeah, Don Corneo is a huge piece of shit.
But that's what I meant about, like, when they had the opportunity to kill that motherfucker. It's like, you don't hesitate with that.
Blockos would have blocked it. They would have blocked it.
Sure.
But basically, Don Corneo escapes because he has the...
But they don't care about the plot goes other ways.
Well, sure, but I'm saying, like, if they made a scene where, like, Cloud was about to, like, friggin' stab him, like, then they would have just been like, but Plakos would stop it. Because but
they didn't let the plot go stop other stuff. You know what I mean? But that's a bullshit complaint. I'm not actually complaining about that. I understand that that's stupid.
All right. Don Corneo has the trick floor. They bust through the trick floor, and then you go through the sewers.
And then you fight that fucking thing.
Well, actually, sorry, I forgot. Don Corneo tells them that they're going to drop the plate on Sector 7.
Yes.
So that's important.
And they think that he's lying, or they're hoping he's lying.
Yeah. So then you go through the sewers. You come out the sewers. You go through the train graveyard, which...
Yeah, that's where that sense of urgency comes from, but in the sewers, they're like, we need to fucking get out and make sure that that's not true.
The train graveyard section, visually, and, like, the vibe of it was really cool. I thought it was, like, a smidge too long.
It was.
And there's, like, 2 boss fights in
a row? But I mean, there's so much of this game that's that.
Sure.
You know, that, like, they clear, like, and it doesn't even make sense because, like, the game's pretty long.
Yeah.
Like, they could have...
Yeah, they could have shaved
a 25, 30-hour game, and I don't think anyone could have played about the length. But because there's a lot that's just drug out. Yeah, it's clearly just padded.
Yeah. And for sure. And this is one of those sections, for sure. But when you when you do get through that section, there's some stuff with like a ghost there, but I wasn't totally getting what was going on with that. It was like almost playing to like Aerith's like childhood, but
like
it was kind of like whatever. It was just like
the kids disappear and then they go,
But then once you get through that, then you realize shit's going down at Sector 7 because the Turks with the helicopter and
that's
the
when they're on the support pillar, right?
Yeah, the support pillar. So they're like, oh, okay, they are gonna try to drop the plate. So then you're running up the plate as Cloud. And this is where in the original one, things deviate a bit, it seems. Because in the original one, Wedge, Biggs, and Jesse die.
Yep, I thought
this one, it seems like they don't. So in Remake, it seems like they definitely are not dead. Actually, for sure, Wedge isn't dead. Because then there's actually a section later on with him.
Really dumb section later on with him.
And Biggs later on, towards the end, he's lying in a bed at that school.
Yep, real dumb.
And you can only assume that Jesse's potentially alive also.
I know, that's what I was waiting for. I was like, oh, where's Jesse? Like,
people have theorized that
everyone's back.
People have theorized that she's gonna be at the Golden Saucer. Like, because she mentions how she was a dancer at the Golden Saucer. Like, that was her cover for being in Avalanche. But when you're gonna get there, people are thinking she's not gonna remember you.
Why?
Because of the whole time thing.
Dude, if they do that dumb shit to that extent, like with actual alternate timelines and stuff, like I'm out.
I'm out. I'm just saying these is just theories, which again, I think in of itself is fun, but it's just fun to just generally talk about. It's not like you're actually like being like, oh, this is what's gonna happen.
That would be real dumb. That'd make me mad.
We'll see. But Jesse's maybe alive. I don't know. But Cloud, Barrett, Tifa, friggin' just zip right out of there. And visually, that scene was like just devastating. Like it just looked devastating. It just the plate coming down and just everything just being demolished and just destroyed. And this is the scene where I told you I was like, wait, this is the moment for me where I was like, oh, okay, Barrett's legit. Is where he's just like punching the wall. And he's just screaming. That's like his first like really emotional moment, I think.
Sure.
So for me, it's like, okay, well.
But he always, like, that didn't like surprise me because he's always been the
he thinks Marlene's dead
character.
also. He thinks his daughter is dead.
Yeah.
Well, daughter, but you know. But he thinks his daughter's dead. He thinks all his...
Is it not his actual daughter? I don't actually know. Well, I didn't know.
That will be in the future. I don't want
to
specify for, people who haven't played the original, but...
Okay, sure.
But he thinks Marlene's dead. He thinks Wedge, Biggs, and Jesse are dead. Like, this town that he's lived in with people he knows, they're just everyone's murdered. Everyone's dead. So,
no.
You know, there's a lot of pain there.
The outburst of emotion makes sense.
Yeah. And just for me, I was like, oh, okay, this is like the first big, like, emotional moment of Barrett. So I was like, this is resonating with me. I'm thinking Barrett is more interesting overall what they're doing with him compared to the original.
Except that he's like the worst father ever.
Yeah.
like the only interaction he has with her is like, I gotta go, but I'll be back. Yeah. Like it's always,
and you gotta go to bed. You gotta go to bed.
Like, oh, I love my daughter. I'll be back. Okay, bye.
I'm gonna go be a terrorist. I'll be back. But, it's fine. It's fine. It could be worse.
It could be.
Worse. He could backhand her with his machine gun.
It's just funny. Like they could have had like a few moments of him actually being like a father.
Sure.
Sure. Instead of just always.
Yeah.
I love her. I'm out of here.
I love her. I hate her.
Okay, bye.
Like DMX. But yeah, so the plate comes crashing down. It's devastating. Aerith's been kidnapped by one of the Turks.
She goes willingly, right?
Yeah, because she basically says like, I'll go with you if you let Marlene go.
Yep.
So Marlene's actually not dead. For sure. She's with Aerith's mom that you find out later. So basically after that, it's just kind of trying to regroup and they're trying to figure out what to do. Which, do you have the chapter references? Because I'm trying to remember.
So which part are we talking about?
So basically after the plate fell.
After the plate.
Yeah, so after the plate fell, they basically...
Well, they go back and start looking for survivors, right?
That's later on. I think that's like later on side quest stuff, but like I think...
I thought that was like the drive. I thought like they were like, okay, we need to go try to find them.
Tifa mentions to Barrett, I think Tifa, or maybe it's Cloud, I forget, mentions that Aerith has said she's safe as they were taking Aerith away. Because he thinks... So where the hell were we?
I don't know.
The battery died, by the way, so in case there's a weird cut there, because we were literally in the middle of talking about something. I don't remember.
The unprofessionalism is... I don't know why I'm here.
I don't know. None of us are professionals.
I won't be coming back.
Literally none of us are professionals. I think it was... I think we're basically driving to the point where the plate crashed. They were trying to get back to Aerith's mom's house because Marlene is there.
Yep, and I didn't trust the mom.
Sure.
But then it turns out she's fine.
The mom is just a mom.
Yep.
Just worried. Just worried.
I assumed before they revealed what Ares' like actual origins were. I thought like the mom had some connection to Shinra.
Oh, okay.
And like was facilitating their, but nope, she's just a good.
If anything,
lady.
she doesn't want them there at all.
Yeah, she's just a good lady.
She's a nice
I
lady.
didn't trust her.
But she is trustworthy. So she even lets them sleep the night because they have to get to the realization that they gotta go save Aerith.
Okay.
So yeah, they get to that house. Then they realize we're gonna go save Aerith. So then there's
the sweet grappling hook section.
Yeah, well, there's like a section there of quests that you have to do to eventually get to the point where Leslie helps you out to get some the grappling hooks.
Oh yeah, so you're helping him go down the sewer because under false pretenses, and then it reveals that he's trying to avenge or find or avenge the
fiance wife
fiance.
Yeah. But you get the grappling hooks, and the grappling hooks is what they use in this one to essentially be like, this is how you're going to get up to the top plate to get to the Shinra building. Because in the original one, I don't know if you remember, it was like this super weird, clunky section. There was basically just a rope at that wall where it says Avalanche on the wall.
Okay.
There was just a rope. You climbed up the wall, and then there was like all these like weird like beams that you climbed around, and there was like these propeller fans, and you had to put batteries in them. It was it just looked bad and just like didn't translate well. I didn't really quite understand what was going on. In this one, at least, it's like all these.
I have a vague memory.
Yeah. In this one, at least, it's like it's all these like broken highways, and it's also part of the sort of beside the section where the plate fell. So there's all that debris and everything and rubble that you're climbing up. Not a super fun part either. Kind of a little bit longer, I think, than it should have been. But it's
it was another one of those things where it's like if they had kept it tight, it would have been fine. Yeah. But I mean, that wasn't that bad. I don't have too much of an issue with that section, but
yeah, eventually, so there's a boss fight, and then you beat that boss, and then they use the grappling hook to actually get to the very top. And then you have the iconic shot once they get to the top of Cloud, kind of holding onto his sword, posing. And he's doing that in the game. He's like posing with his sword, and he's like looking up at the building, and it shows like, this massive monstrosity of a building, and it just looks super cool. But
it does look very cool.
But yeah, so they're gonna basically begin their infiltration of the Shinra building, which doesn't go very well because they pretty much get found immediately. Yep. Because they're on top of that truck.
Oh yeah, man! What a stupid fucking scene! What a stupid fucking
They're like on top of the truck trying to be sneaky.
It's like another one of those instances where it's like, oh, everything seems fine, and like no one looks above, right above their fucking eyebrows.
Yeah, exactly. They're just looking straight ahead,
or like, checking under.
And just straight.
Like Barrett's giant ass is fucking like hanging off the side of it.
But Barrett falls off, right?
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, look, they're infiltrating. And then, you fight some people and then you're in the building.
Yeah, you're in the parking garage first.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. And then you get into the building, into that front building lobby area. And then your favorite mechanic happens here.
My God.
Like, which you took notes.
I literally wrote in my phone, like, cause I was trying to prepare for this. So I like took a couple notes and I was like, climbing jump puzzle or climbing puzzle with
the Tifa like
is fucking stupid
on the light fixtures and all the like whatever.
It's not fun. It's stupid, and it's all these like little things are so like in defiance of like that game because in the fights and in all the cutscenes like they are the most like nimble, acrobatic, like. Even these motherfuckers are basically flying.
Like even Barrett a little bit is nimble, like just a little bit, like
and like these motherfuckers can basically fly. And then like you have this like slow, tedious, clunky fucking.
But explain why she has to do it. Because there's like a force field for some reason around that desk, that front desk.
It doesn't have a top.
Yeah, that doesn't have a top.
It's so fucking stupid. Everything about the Shinra building, aside from like the nostalgic kind of like museum elements of it, was awful.
That museum part. Not the museum part, but like the theater part where it shows like, that was sick.
It was cool.
That was sick.
Cool, but I mean, like, why would that exist?
Well, you'll see.
Sure.
Well, not you'll see, but we'll get there.
It's goofy.
So you get you get the key card, whatever, from that front thing that has the force field that only goes like 7 feet up. and then the infamous choosing between the stairs and the elevator.
Yep.
So
I actually Googled that just to see.
Oh, okay. If it actually
was... DuckDuckGo, actually.
Yeah.
But, I don't use Google. Fuck Google.
Okay, fair enough.
But I don't actually have that. I'm not that passionate about it. But,
no. Okay. Apparently
anyway,
you are.
But I looked it up and it basically makes no difference. You
right.
just get some dialogue differences.
But the stairs is hilarious, though.
Oh, I didn't do the stairs.
You did?
I did the elevator because I read that it was a little bit more of like Tifa coming to grips with like the reality of what they're doing.
Okay.
Like having to face like the regular employees at Shinra. And I thought that would be a little... I just wanted to see what that looked like.
Okay.
It was barely anything.
Okay.
But yeah.
The stairs is funny.
Yeah.
Much like in the original one where Barrett's just like saying like
just
snarky stuff. And at one point, I think Tifa says something like either like, she literally says like, shut the fuck up or like, hurry the fuck up or like something along the lines of that. Or no, I'm thinking of the original. I was replaying the original the other day, and I'm pretty sure she said something like "stop being retarded" and "hurry the like hell up." Or like I'm pretty sure she dropped retarded. Yeah. Well, exactly. But like I was like, whoa, she said that. I was like, okay. But like, there's some snark going on in the new one too with the stairs, which is pretty fun. But yeah, so you get up to the stairs, to the top, and then you're starting to infiltrate the Shinra building, and you're going through different floors. Not quite like in the original. Because in the original was actually kind of fun because there was the different floors and then there's like some like kind of like items you can get if you want to go out of your way to get. But so
in any of your runs, did you do the elevator?
No.
Oh, you did the stairs?
Yeah, I always did the stairs because I just thought the stairs were funny.
Okay.
So, and you're literally going up like 100 stairs.
Yeah. See, I was like preparing for this, so I was like,
okay.
I just need to get through this motherfucker. Yeah. I cannot be running up 60
Hey, well, we each did the different things, so that worked out. Because I didn't even think like, oh yeah, they'll have different dialogue, and that
there wasn't much to it. Like,
sure.
There was like you went up. First one is like some soldiers you have to fight. Second is some employees, and like you open the door opens and you like shove your sword in their face, and then they're like, "I'm here," and then they run away.
So it kind of ridiculous that's happening and no alarms are going off.
Yeah.
It's like, all right.
Well, I mean, they explain that later.
Okay. Well, sure. Yeah. Because
which is also dumb. But
yeah. But eventually you get to the bathroom part where you're gonna go through the vent and you're trying to listen into the meeting.
Is that before or after you meet the mayor?
I
feel like that might be
after. That was before.
Okay.
I think. Because he gives you... No, maybe it is after. Because he gives you the extra key card that you couldn't get.
Yeah, and then that's how you get up there.
But unless that's to get to the Hojo experiment areas. I forget. Either way. But there's that meeting scene, and Shinra's just President Shinra is just a huge douche. He doesn't give a shit about anything. He's just like, whatever, the plate fell, and what's his face is, the guy that's actually Kate Sith, is like, oh, like, all this money, and blah, blah, blah. Reeves.
He's actually Kate Sith?
Oh, yeah. Do you not remember?
No, yeah,
I shouldn't have said that one either. I was not trying to I was trying to avoid the Marlene thing, but yeah.
So
he's Kate Sith.
The little fat guy?
Kate Sith, No,
I know who Kate Sith is.
Yeah, the cat on top of the...
No, I understand, but I mean, so who in the Shinra building is...
Reeves, the one with the black hair, and he's got, like, the goatee and beard.
Oh.
And he keeps telling Shinra,
is he the one with the little dot on his head?
No, that's Sang.
Oh, so the good guy.
Yeah. The one that's like, why are we doing this? Like, we just murdered a bunch of people. We're spending...
he was like in the meeting like, oh god.
Yeah. We just spent like 100 billion, gil for this, that, and the other. And President Shinra's like, you gotta do what we gotta do, man. People gotta die. So
he's Kate Sith.
Yeah. Yeah, you didn't remember that?
No.
Yeah.
Well,
spoilers.
In what way?
He's controlling him, remote controlling him.
So he's a robot or something?
No. Kate Sith is.
He's
like a little robot.
The cat's a robot?
Yeah. Oh. Well, because so jumping ahead a bit, spoilers. There's the scene where they go to the temple and the black materia. They find the black materia
in the original,
and he sacrifices himself
in the original.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because it's basically crushing the temple when they get the black materia. So Kate Sith sticks behind because he's not real.
Okay.
But then like a new model shows up. So
all right.
Side note, when the plate fell. The Kate Sith literally on the ledge, falling to his knees. Like, he just falls to his knees like, no! Like, why did he go to pilot the little cat to fall to its knees while the plate's falling? Like,
so goofy.
But anyways, there's the meeting part, and then eventually, you meet the mayor, and he gives you the extra key card. And
he's the one who made it so no alarms went off. He was like, you guys got seen by every camera and by these employees, but who do you think's been looking out for you?
Yeah.
Which I thought was silly too, because in the original, like, they were Avalanche. And in this one, Avalanche is like this big organization that they apparently aren't even in the know about.
Yeah, well, so I think the way that they're sort of...
And, like, Wedge knew about the mayor, but not fucking Barrett and Tifa, which, like,
I don't
really
know.
Strange to me.
I'm wondering if he was still in communication with some of the other cells. I don't know.
Yeah. It's the 4th of July, so you might hear some fireworks. Happy 4th, everybody.
Fuck the 4th.
Oh, fuck you.
People in their goddamn fireworks.
I love this goddamn country. Fuck you if you don't.
Listen, get your fireworks, go out into a field, and sit around together.
Maybe you forget where you are.
Okay.
It's America.
I don't care. I don't want to hear loud bangs in my quiet neighborhood.
Let's see what you do with that wand. It ain't gonna do shit for you.
I'm gonna go to China.
I'm
gonna go to China. They're all nice there, okay.
They are. It's a fine country.
What was I saying before you interrupted me? With your dumb patriotic nonsense.
Mm-hmm.
What were we saying? Shinra, President Shinra.
Kate Sith on his knees.
It gets the key card, whatever. You go up to the Hojo area.
Dude, the Hojo area.
Yeah.
Fuck the Hojo area.
Well, there's the first
Hojo.
So
goddamn.
Well, there's the first Hojo area, where they're gonna go save Aerith, and you meet Red 13 for the first time.
Yep.
So.
That's fine.
Yeah.
No problem with that.
And then her kind of communicating to him what's going on, because he's a little, like being ravenous, so to speak, and then she kind of communicates.
He's a little feral.
Yeah, he's a little feral, and and she communicates to him like, "Hey, everything's chill." And there's obviously stuff with that, like potentially because Aerith,
she has some sort of connection with the planet, and
can speak to the planet, and again with theories going on, like she actually technically knows bits and pieces about the future because the life stream is basically, present, past, future of time. So yeah, all sorts of stuff because can't say what happens to Aerith later.
But I mean, we don't even know if that's going to happen. I mean,
right.
Like, the shit that they did. Yeah, sorry.
All right, let's not jump ahead. Yep. Let's jump ahead. So you meet. And
like, I'm going to sound like a broken record over and over because it makes me so angry.
Sure.
Again,
if I had a better memory, there are very specific parts, and a lot of it is Aerith and Sephiroth, which we haven't even really talked that much about Sephiroth.
Sephiroth wasn't even in the Midgar part much.
Not really, yeah. But like in this one, he is.
Yeah,
and that's the thing that, again, with people theorizing what's going on with Sephiroth, why he's popping up so often. Is it just because they're trying to flesh out the story, or is there an actual legitimate reason?
I think they wanted to have him in it because they were, hey, this is the Final Fantasy VII Remake. Sephiroth's a big part of that game, and we need to have a big bad guy that, like, justifies, like, an end boss fight kind of thing. Or whatever.
There's also potentially, I don't know if we want to maybe extrapolate it more about the very, very end, because that's fully about Sephiroth.
Yeah, we'll get there.
Yeah, so you meet Red 13, you go a bit further, you basically get to the big massive room where Genova's in.
Well, but we gotta talk about the dumb shit after you get... No, so it's talking about before you get Ares, or is this after?
For what?
After you rescue Ares, or...
From what?
The part you're talking
about? Yeah. It's after.
Okay, well then we got to go
back. Yeah, because there's the part where they fall down. Like, because you go into the room where there's Genova, and you're like, oh shit, it's Genova. Yeah. And then they kind of are walking across that platform, and Sephiroth is just standing there.
Yep.
And this time they all see him. So throughout the game, Cloud has pretty much been the only one seeing him.
He's been like kind of hallucinating him.
Yeah, and
whatever.
He thinks it's hallucinating. He's hallucinating. And then at this moment, all of them are seeing Sephiroth. Yep. So it's like, oh shit.
Okay, he's actually... But I mean, previously... the Shinra people were talking about like, oh, like he's here.
Right.
I saw him walking.
Yeah, the fat dude saw him.
And they were like, get the fuck out of here.
Yeah. They're like, yeah, whatever, dude. But at this point, they all see him, and Cloud freaks out, and he goes to run at him. Sephiroth, kind of slashes him away. Oh, deflects him away. And then he cuts the platform, and they go falling down. And then you go through this whole like, experiment area where like there's all these the party splits up and you're going through these different like rooms.
They added this fucking bullshit switch party mechanic, and it's so fucking clunkily.
And they're all like talking on some phone and be like, "All right, we're at this section,"
and it's so clunky. It's like, do you want to switch parties? No, you don't have to. You can, but you don't have to. Oh, you got to switch parties to do this. Do you want to switch? Do you want to switch parties? And like you're switching for like 2 fucking seconds every single goddamn time.
Sure.
And I don't know if you're like me, but like I'm like switching the materia. Between like some of them, just because like I only had one magnify materia. I don't know if like I just missed one.
Yeah.
So I'm switching between my healers just to have the like my cure magnified.
Yeah.
And then like I'm like, what the fuck am I even doing? It's like for 2.5 seconds. Sometimes it's not even a goddamn fight.
Sure.
And it was just super clunky. And then you have this fucking shitty goddamn Red 13 context sensitive bullshit
where he's running
along the thing. And
looks cool.
Dude, it looks kinda cool for like the first goddamn time, but then you have this fucking robotic animation where like the character model has to like pivot and it just turns. Like he doesn't turn, like it turns, and then it slowly pulls down the fucking lever, and you have to do that like 15 goddamn times.
Sure.
I'm exaggerating, it's like 5 or something, but
yeah, that's
really
section,
goddamn stupid.
That section definitely also a bit longer than it needed to be.
It's like you're going through the same goddamn hallways, like identical hallways over and over again.
Yeah.
Switching back between the characters, it's like the least fun, the most clunky, stupid thing to inject. Like, that mechanic wasn't even in there.
No.
For 36 hours.
Yeah.
And then they're like, let's add this context-sensitive bullshit and switch in the party so it doesn't even matter.
It's like, to me, like, the way I read it is like, it's like Hojo being like this, like, manipulative puppet master who's like trying to put you through like his like sort of like torture rooms, but it's like it's not fun. So.
Yeah, no, sure. But the developers, I look at it as the developers had no fucking clue how to end this game and started just adding all this bullshit.
Well, there is a scene in there that's kind of important where he sees Cloud and he's about to say something, and then Cloud has like like one of those like moments where he grabs his head.
He just has a headache or whatever.
Yeah, where he just has a headache. He needs a medication. An Advil. But like, yeah, cause again, they don't want him to be like actually remembering, you know, what his deal is with the Buster Sword and where he got that from and what his past is, cause they don't really hint it at all. They don't actually say anything specific in this one because you're not supposed to know yet, but.
They hint at it obviously towards the end, but.
Yeah. Yeah, but I mean, yeah, just the actual mechanically, like that whole section, not super great. I like the way that middle room looks. All like sort of the pods.
Oh yeah, no,
because that also references later on to another section in the game.
Oh, did you ever go through what are those sections called? The things that you pull the levers. There's like 4 of them or whatever.
That you pull the lever?
Yeah, to open the doors so you can go in and do the challenges, Hojo's challenges.
Oh, the like the VR stuff?
No, they're not no, it's not VR. It's like that whole section that we're talking about. Like you're opening doors in that center pillar. Okay. And that's where you're switching parties to like, I opened that door, you guys.
I don't remember what it's called.
Oh, well, there was 4 of them. I only did 2, 3, and 4. Okay. One was there, but I never went through it. And you could open that one. I didn't know if in your 3 playthroughs you went through the first one.
I don't remember there being anything like
there was one you didn't have to do. There was one you could do but didn't have to, and I didn't do it.
I don't remember. Okay. I don't remember. To be honest, I don't.
Then fuck
I thought you were talking about the VR thing.
No.
Because this Chadley, there's like 2 different VR things.
Yeah.
Well, Chadley, we didn't even mention Chadley.
Fuck him.
Like that's.
So how many summons are there in that game? Is it just the 3?
No, there's 4.
Okay, I only got 3. What did I not do?
Which ones did you get?
I got Fat Chocobo, Shiva, and
Ifrit. And then the last one is Bahamut.
How do you get Bahamut? I call him Bahamut.
I think you have to do. Do you have to do the challenges? I don't remember actually. I know there's some stuff that you have to do. I think it might have because there's like there's also like in the Shinra building there's like almost like a training room.
Yeah, it's basically the Coliseum.
Yeah, I think maybe you have to do.
I didn't do
all.
I don't remember because again once I got there I was just like I need to get the fuck through this. I've been putting Dan off for a while to do this podcast and
I'm not remembering. It might not even have to do with that.
But I mean I did everything else. You know,
I don't remember. But I have to look that up. Yeah. Which we can
it doesn't matter.
No, it doesn't matter. But Bahamut's the last one.
Okay, I would have liked that.
Yeah. He's super hard fight, by the way.
Yeah.
Very difficult. But yeah, so yeah, that whole section mechanically certainly not the best. I hope that
it's bad.
That if they want to keep doing things like that with the future ones, like I don't know, just have it be less cumbersome or something, or less intrusive. Like, I don't know what they can do if they want to have...
Just think it out a little bit more.
Yeah, I don't know.
Like, fine-tune it. Like, add some polish to it. Like, and like, streamline it. Make sure you're not dragging on too long. Make sure that the mechanics actually feel... Like, I mean, it's not that hard to be like, alright, we're not going to add this unless it actually feels good to do.
Sure.
Like, a lot of the stuff just felt like padding and...
I think... And I didn't even mention this at all. And it's not an excuse, it's more a theory, I think. Because of the whole bullshit with CyberConnect. Like, the game was announced back in 2015. So CyberConnect was working on it for 2 years, and then they scrapped that completely.
Yeah.
So then you figure they pick it up at 2017. This game comes out 2019. They did all of this in 2 years. Or 2020, sorry. So about 3 years, give or take. That's not a lot of time to make a game like this, I don't think.
Really? It's pretty linear.
To be at polished, but I'm saying to have the level of polish that it does.
Sure, but I mean, I think 3 years you could do this.
I don't know.
Like, I mean, because like, it's basically just hallway.
But games nowadays, I think, are just taking way longer because
But most games are like have some open world elements.
No, I know.
Like this is a pretty linear game.
No, I totally
and
understand.
Like, I'm not even trying to take away. Like, I think you're probably, but that's why I think the end feels really rushed.
All right. I'm trying to think, like Uncharted, for example. I mean, those came out, I think, like a couple years apart, but I think Uncharted is even more linear and they're shorter. So it's
shorter, for sure.
Yeah. So, I mean,
for sure.
And again, the scope of this game, like just looking out, towards the plates and like kind of like just the perspective.
But I could see a similar development cycle, like time-wise, between Uncharted and this.
Sure.
Because like this is really linear and really story-driven and like set pieces and blah, blah,
I'm just saying, I think maybe if they had another like 6 to 9 months, it could have had more polish.
Yeah, there might be something to that because I think the end feels really rushed. Well, like a lot of the ending feels rushed.
Well, I think they wanted to end it there because again, it's going to be multiple.
But parts, I just mean like even like visually and stuff like that. It seems like some of the effects and stuff towards the end didn't get the same attention and polish as the rest of the game. Oh. And I wonder if they were like, "Hey, this has been in development for too long. We need to come out with this. We need to get this first part out." I don't know.
I can't think of any specific moments.
No, I don't. I'll talk.
Yeah, at the very end. Okay. Well, so basically, you finish that section, it's fine. You finish that section, you get to an elevator, the elevator brings you up to, I think, the top floor, right?
Yeah, the roof, right?
Yeah, the roof.
The
Shinra's office.
Yeah. Which is right after
Shinra. Yeah. Now, this is the thing that was a bummer. Well, but at one point you get thrown in the cells, don't you? Do you get thrown in the cells?
No. The cells.
There's a part that we're missing, because there was a part where you end up in that room that Aerith was with her mom. There's that room where she painted on the walls.
Oh.
And
Cloud like faints or something and they bring him in there.
Yeah. That's an important moment because she's mentioning some stuff about her and her mom and speaking to the planet, and there's like something that she wants to say, and Tifa even acknowledges, she's like, there's something you want to say.
Like, why aren't you saying like,
and then the frickin' whispers show up and they're trying to prevent her from even like, I think, saying the things that she wants to say. So yeah, I completely forgot about that part. Because then, in the original one, they catch you and they bring you to the cells. And this was the part that I really liked in the original. This is what annoyed me with the Shinra section that they missed, was when you come out of the cells in the original one, there's like the trail of blood. Okay. And then there's the creepy, that was like the really creepy, like, music. And
that was when, like, Sephiroth took Jenova or something?
Well, there's that, but like it was a trail of blood leading up to President Shinra, I believe.
Oh.
And then when you go enter his office, he has the sword in his back.
Yes.
And that's just a super ominous shot.
And a fucking awesome scene. Yeah. And like awesome build up and everything.
But not in this game.
I forgot about that. Yeah, that would have been way better. That would have been way better.
And that music, because obviously...
God, these motherfuckers. Like, they leave out the amazing parts.
Well, I think, like, again, I think they do that to throw you off, because then...
No, because they have contempt for you.
Alright, that's fine. You have contempt for them.
I do.
But that music is playing, and I was like, oh shoot, are they gonna have it? They're gonna have it. Like, that music of that original scene, obviously the music's redone in this one, but that song is playing in that moment as you're going up to his office. He's not at his desk.
What a bummer.
He's not at his desk because he's outside hanging off of, like, the ledge. And Barrick grabs him, and he's like, I'm gonna let you go.
And another one of those fucking scenes where, like, their conscience is like, no, don't hurt the fucking president of Shinra. Like, yeah, we killed all of his goddamn soldiers who were just trying to, like...
They just fought her, man.
Yeah, but where is the attacker conscience?
Like, I don't know. Because video games. You can't just be like,
I killed him. Again, that's a common thing among stories.
And also, the whispers would have stopped it, so...
But they they fight against the Whispers in so many different ways.
But it's also interesting too that he didn't get a sword in it. Well, again, I think this speaks to Sephiroth.
So why would the Whispers stop that if he died in the original? The Whispers wouldn't, because that wasn't.
So here's the thing. I think Sephiroth, because then at the very end, which Sephiroth is doing some stuff. I think Sephiroth can basically overwrite the Whispers.
Well, yeah, clearly. Yeah. I mean, but kind of and kind of not, right?
Right. Because then there's the moment. There's the moment when they go inside. He's about to shoot Barret, I believe, right? And Shinra, or not Shinra, sorry, Sephiroth stabs President Shinra then, but he also stabs Barret.
Yeah,
which was not in the original.
Nope.
So I was like, "Whoa, shit! Are they about to kill Barret?"
Like, this is stupid. Okay.
I was like, "Oh shit! Are they about to kill Barret?" But no. One of the Whispers basically goes in and like heals.
Yeah, it's so
because he's not supposed to die there. He's not supposed to die there.
Goddamn stupid.
He's not supposed to die there. So the Whisper helps with that.
But yeah, like I was saying earlier, like this entire game seems to be them telling the story of them not wanting, them getting to remake Final Fantasy VII, but not wanting to. Like the entire game seems like that. It's hey, we don't want to make this game. It's 40 hours of hey, we don't want to do this, and after this, we're done with your bullshit. We're doing whatever we want.
We're getting there. There. So then
that is the game. That is the
so
game.
Then you're in the office, and then you're like, oh shit, we're gonna fight Jenova. So now you're finally fighting one of the parts of Jenova because she's just chilling there apparently. So you fight Jenova, which is a pretty cool fight, I think.
Well, how does that fight go again? I did it like
there's like the tentacles poking out at different sections of she has different phases.
Yeah,
I just think it looks cool, and also like the Jenova theme actually builds up in different portions. Mm-hmm. So like the actual like full like actual rendition of the Jenova theme is in her last form during that fight. So I just think like musically it fits in really well with how the fight evolves.
I wish I paid as much attention to the music as you did.
Yeah,
considering I loved it, but I was in such a rush at the end.
Sure,
but yeah, like that fight was cool. It was fine.
So you beat Jenova, and then I believe you go outside, and Cloud sees Sephiroth, and then he's like racing to the top of there's like a ladder he's climbing up, and then Sephiroth like jumps off, but it's actually one of the clones.
Yeah.
Which is one of the hooded, which plays into later the clones, and they're all mumbling, stumbling around, mumbling reunion and all that stuff. That has importance, which you don't know about until later.
If it even is going to have the same importance or the same, it's not even going to.
They're still clearly they are because the one of them show up in the Yuffie DLC.
Yeah.
And then
but I mean, there's no guarantee that's going to happen like it did in the original. I mean, certainly won't happen.
But President Shinra's dead at this point, so now Rufus shows up. Mm-hmm. So then there's the Rufus fight, and at this point, they're like, we got to bounce.
That fight was a motherfucker.
Yeah.
Like that was like they added new mechanics to that too that like were never there.
Well, because he's dashing around and he has very specific moves, and you have to do very specific things. Because like if you try to hit him, he pretty much counters you like almost all the time.
Yep.
So there's very specific things that you have to counter him with.
Exactly. Which
and then he has a dog, which
he's linked to, and you have to worry about that. And then they're doing like attacks that combine with each other and stuff.
Yep. Yeah, that was a tough fight.
Motherfucker.
Yeah, that was a tough
fight.
I
think it took me 2 or 3 times.
Yeah. I think I died like once or twice too.
Yeah.
So yeah, he was tough. But you beat him.
But it's kind of a cool fight.
No, it was.
Like aside from like once I got was like, okay, this is kind of what I have to do. I had the first time I was like, what the fuck is this? I was like, how do I even do this?
Because he's just dashing around and again countering everything. So.
Yeah, and like that dog and then
it was tough. But once you beat him, then it's like, all right, well they had already.
And I'm old now, so like I think my skill level has plummeted.
Your reaction time,
like everything. I'm just an old man now, so like I was just like, what am I even doing here? But I mean, I did figure it out and do it.
You did.
But my old man brain at first was like, what?
Yeah, it's a lot. As far as like human characters that you fight in the game, because there's monsters that you fight and you're like, all right, well they're kind of like these bigger monsters, so there's different mechanics. But like as far as human characters go, like he's definitely one of the more tough ones.
At you and fucking
aside from Sephiroth,
Cyclops fucking.
But like the gang had already run away, and then Cloud's trying to run also, but then he's falling off of the ledge of the building, and Tifa runs back and is like, all right, like you're gonna play the hero, you gotta ask for help or something.
She's like, you gotta be better than this if you're gonna be the hero.
Yeah, exactly. Because he's just like about to let go, and she like basically runs in right at the nick of time and grabs him. So they all leave, and then they get the old bicycle and the truck, just like in the old one.
Which
just
was
that
too goddamn
goofy little
long
truck.
of a scene. The truck was awesome. I thought that was awesome.
No, I know, but it's just funny because it's literally what the old truck was.
Which is funny, like when I was going through the Shinra building and like I was saying about like the kind of museum element of it.
Yeah,
and I don't even mean like specifically the museum part, but I mean
Yeah.
like the museum nature of that for fans.
Right.
Like my girlfriend was next to me and I was like, that was in the original.
that one right there, that
cool.
dumb little truck there. Barrett fits in
She's
that.
like, why are her tits so big? I'm like, shut up.
It's for balance.
She's perfect.
Yeah, you shut your mouth.
But
You wish you were teaching.
But yeah, so when they came down, I was pretty happy.
Yeah, and then he's on the bike, and then he's doing all these like nonsense moves with the bike, which is, and then he threw like the sword at that one guy, and like kind of like stabbed into the wall beside him, and he's like, "Oh shit! All right, let me back away." And then you just like go right out the window and out towards.
But
the highway.
again, killed everyone but the important guy who should have died.
Yeah, absolutely. Because plot, it's all about the plot, Brandon. Yeah. So then you get to the highway scene,
which drags on for fucking ever.
You gotta extend the game, Brandon. It's gotta be a 40, 50 hour game.
But like, there all these elements, like it could be like a fun little thing that you did, but everything overstays its welcome in this last.
So do you mean like the boss fight in and of itself, or the actual
even just riding your motorcycle and fighting the guys along the way? I think that overstays its welcome. Like it's like everything could have just been a bit shorter, and it would have been like, oh, that was a fun little thing.
Yeah.
But everything is like, oh, that's a fun little thing. How much more of this? I'm still doing this? Okay.
Well, at the end, they're just throwing everything but the kitchen sink at you, basically. Yeah. It's just like, we're getting right towards the end, and it's like, all right, everything's got to be balls to the wall, apparently. So.
And then stretched out.
Sure. But that's just the whole game, because they're stretching out the whole game. They're taking a 4 or 5 hour portion.
But I mean, in a lot of ways, they did it fucking almost, I would like, expertly. Like, I think they did a really good job with, like, some of, like, the set pieces and character moments and environment and environmental storytelling. I think they did an amazing job with some of that. But everything that they add, like, all the little bullshit overstays its welcome.
Sure.
Like, all the little mechanical
Maybe they just think it's really... Maybe they just think those portions are fun.
They don't.
Or at least the bike portion.
I think they hate us.
All right. Well, if that's the case, then people will just be like, I'm not buying all these other ones that you're going to make, and then they don't get any money.
They know that we're fucking nostalgic sheep.
Well, not you, though.
Like, I remember Fober.
You're all like, I'm not going to play these other ones.
I'm not excited about the future of this at all.
Well, whatever. You do the highway scene. Apparently, it's too long per Brandon. There's the boss fight.
Well, and then I got you breathing down my neck. When are we doing the podcast? Like, shut up! I'm in this motorcycle.
We're trying to get to the end here. This is the end game. So you.
And then you call.
Okay. The boss shows up, you fight the boss.
Which is a silly fight, but it's
sure.
Fine. It's fine.
But I mean, like, that couldn't have just been the end of the game, of course.
No.
That couldn't have been the end of the game.
The wheel monster?
That was the end of that portion of the game in the original.
No, I know.
But in this one, it's like, no. We can't end there. Sephiroth shows up at the end of the highway. And it's like, well, that's not what happened in the original. Why is he here? And this is where things get weird, and it's really hard to explain, because it's all kind of like... It's all mysterious stuff of like, well, like... He sort of creates this portal thing, and he goes through it, and then Aerith is saying, like, he's actually the bad guy. We've been focusing on Shinra this whole time, and really he's the threat to the planet is Sephiroth. He is, like, basically the plague of this planet, and he needs to be dealt with. And we don't know
we can do it.
Yeah, we don't know what the future holds, because I think Aerith at that moment is kind of thinking, like...
We're not bound by these goddamn nerds anymore. We can do...
You mean the Whispers, or... Yes. Yes. The nerd whispers. I think she knows that once they cross...
the nerd whispers.
I think she knows once they cross that threshold that they're going to basically potentially be changing things, and it's going to be like... There's nothing kind of protecting...
Yeah, it's going to be...
But nothing even protecting them, technically, because at that point, the Whispers was kind of sort of protecting them, because it was protecting what was happening.
It was making them adhere to the story.
Yeah, exactly. But you go through there, you basically fight... these 3 enemies that they have like these weird names, and I don't remember what they are.
One of them was
they're supposed to
dumb.
Yeah, they basically have different. They have different colors
or something. I honestly think it was like
it's like Latin or something.
It was like Whisper Rubdum.
No, it was not Whisper Rubdum.
I think it might have been Rumdum.
I don't think it was.
I'm like 90% sure it was Rumdum.
I think it was Latin, but whatever. And this has actually been confirmed. So
it was like murder. Like I was thinking of like Red Rum from The Shining.
Sure,
but it was like Rubdum.
I don't think there's a Shining reference. No, what it actually is, I don't know if you know this. It's the three Sephiroth kids from Advent Children.
Oh, okay. I thought it was like I honestly thought that they were doing like some fucking some reference to like some major video game outlets or something, like the main nerds who were bothering them during the development.
No, but it's the three nerds from Advent Children.
Fair enough.
Because when you actually look at their weapons, it's actually the weapons that they're using in Advent Children. So there's the dude that fights with the fist, there's ones that has the guns, and then Kadaj has like 2 swords or something, or a sword.
I thought that was kind of clunky too, how they did that fight.
Sure.
Like, well, it was kind of weird.
Well, I think the point is because Sephiroth is essentially poisoning that space, and the reason why they're there is because he's sort of like it's past, present, and future merging, which is why they're there in the first place, and they're in that form because I think it's like mixing with like the whispers and and all that stuff.
That's what they are.
And then
it's whispered, blah, blah, whatever.
Right. And actually, you did fight technically Bahamut because then once you beat all 3 of them,
Bahamut.
then they merge into the Bahamut.
Yeah.
Which in Advent Children, that's what happens. Bahamut shows up. They summon Bahamut after.
Yep.
So the connection to Advent Children there. And then there's like the big and then eventually you fight the big godlike whisper.
Yeah.
That's just this hulking massive.
Oh, okay.
Thing
So one of the things that visually looked kind of shitty.
Okay.
Do you remember when they were on the highway and then those 2 tornadoes were coming at them from both sides? Those
I
two
think so.
Weird volcanoes.
Yeah, I think
they
so.
looked terrible. And then some of the special effects around that part looked really bad. It looked really rushed because the rest of that game is beautiful.
Yeah.
Like, the
Even
set
more
pieces are
beautiful now.
Exactly,
so,
right? The set pieces, everything is beautiful. And I thought that whole last
So it's just bad tornadoes.
But I mean, it looked like they were like, all right, we need to make this like weird.
So this game is like
we don't have
98% beautiful, and you're going to nitpick the tornadoes?
Yeah, but I'm saying so much of this game falls apart at the end.
Okay.
So much of it.
Sure.
But
okay, so bad tornadoes. Got it.
Really bad.
All right, I'll make sure to jot bad tornadoes.
it's written in my phone.
But you beat the big godlike whisper. You beat him, and then you have the Sephiroth fight, which, again, in the original, you're not even seeing Sephiroth. Mm-hmm. Sephiroth's nothing to do with that highway part.
Nope.
And the last boss of this game, it's like, oh, we're fighting Sephiroth.
Yep.
And it's...
I honestly think they were just getting all the fan service out of their system. I really do.
Well, again, so we're at this part now. So you fight Sephiroth, right? Mm-hmm. And as the fight happens, there's like these particles floating through or whatever. Or actually that whole section, these particles floating through, and it kind of like hits them in the head. And they're seeing moments from the future.
Yes.
And like stuff pertaining to Advent Children and
stuff
things
that
like
might not happen.
Yeah.
Like even, I think Red 13 even said.
So I think a lot of this, and this is stuff that people have theorized, is like Sephiroth in this game is the Sephiroth from Advent Children, who has gone into the past and has all of that knowledge of everything that's happened because he's trying to win this time because he's lost all of those times. And if you think about it, in the original one, did you ever see Sephiroth with the actual one wing, except for his final form at the end?
No, I don't think it was till the end.
Right.
Yeah.
And in this one, he does, which he does at the end of Advent Children. He has the wing.
Yeah.
So in this one, he has the wing because it's people are thinking this is that Sephiroth. And that's where the time stuff
I think
comes
the fans put more thought into it than...
No, sure. And again, to me, it's just more like the fun of it, because it's like, okay, so he's going back in time, so and that's why he has like these moments throughout the game with Cloud, like in the very beginning, after they do the first bombing, and he's like following him down the roads and those alleyways, and he's like messing with Cloud, and he's saying all of these cryptic things. It's like, you kind of seem like you know some stuff that you shouldn't know at this point of the game. And same with Aerith, too.
Yeah.
And again, I wish I had specific quotes in my head, but I just don't have the best memory. There's things that Aerith says throughout the game that very much seems like she kind of is...
No, she stops herself from saying stuff a lot. Yeah.
So, and that to me is what's interesting, because it's like, alright, so then you beat Sephiroth, and then you're basically past the highway. You're like out in the sort of deserty cliff area, which is outside of, when you basically are on the world map to go to Calm. And stuff is happening, and like Midgar is being surrounded by this like glowy tornado thing, and the whispers are just everywhere.
Oh, I love when they walk through, just to go back for a second. Another one of those moments, when they walk through that portal.
Yeah.
And then they're back, like, kind of mirrored, like they're back facing it.
Yeah.
And they're like, everything looks normal, and then it's like, oh, if I looked up, there's a goddamn, like a portal, like a spiraling about something. But another one of those moments where they just don't look up.
Yeah.
Like, that looks fine.
Sure, fair.
Sorry.
No, it's fine. But yeah, you beat him, and then, so, I think the most bonkers thing that's like, what's even going on with that? So, at the very end, they're kind of bouncing between scenes, and they're showing Zack.
Mm-hmm.
So Zack was a first-class soldier.
Yep.
At basically the story of Zack is in how Cloud got the Buster Sword.
Yeah, how it's supposed to happen.
Right, Zack is basically taking Cloud and trying to escape Shinra. They get to those cliffs.
Yeah, because they're going to go to Midgard to just be mercenaries, right?
Yeah. But they're just trying to escape from Shinra also, because Shinra's like behind, just right on their tail.
Yeah.
And basically Cloud is just lying there unconscious, and Zack goes to fight all of the soldiers. And in the original, his original, like, what is supposed to happen is they kill him.
Yeah, he gets, like, shot up by all the soldiers.
Yeah,
right?
he's just bleeding everywhere, and he's just lying on the ground all bleeding and dying. And Cloud comes to, and basically Zack is passing his legacy, his Buster Sword, his legacy to Cloud. In this one...
Yeah, because even Cloud, like, kind of, like, adopts, like, his, like, past, right? Like,
right, because, well, they had moments they shared together. Yeah. Like, when they go to, what the hell's the town that Cloud's from?
Fuck if I know.
I can't remember. But, yeah, certain scenes. So, yeah, they've been around each other. Like, that's why those memories mix in with Cloud's. But in this one, Zack doesn't die.
Yeah.
So he's alive. And he's just dragging Cloud into Midgar. And then it shows, like, as the party's like, all right, we're gonna go to Calm, they, like, cross paths.
Yeah.
But, like, it's almost like Zack and Cloud are like ghosts.
They feel each other, but there's almost like some kind of recognition of the passing.
Yeah.
But, yeah, it's weird.
And Aerith looks up, and she feels, like, this weird, ominous sort of feeling, and, like, it's raining, and... Because I'm pretty sure that moment where Zack is dying on the ground, it is raining, also. So that's where the whole timeline things...
Which is where they lose me completely. Because if that's what it is, like if there's just alternate timelines,
Well, that can get messy, so it's like...
And uninteresting, to me.
I mean, it can be, because, I mean, what if, like... I don't know, what if, like, it's like, alright, so Zack's alive, but Sephiroth wants him alive for a reason, because maybe he wants... to kill Zack.
But then it just feels like it's like fan fiction at that point. You know what I mean?
Well,
like,
it's not, because it's literally their story, and they're doing what they want to do. So.
I know.
But, I mean, the bottom line
is... But it feels like the wheels are, like, there's no rules.
Sure.
You know, and like,
so, alright, so we're at the end here. Mm-hmm. For me, it's like, okay, I get it. Like, they're deviating with certain stuff. I get it. That can be frustrating. To me, it's fine. It is...
But I wouldn't mind as much as if they didn't show that their ability to, like... to deviate if they did a better job with it.
Okay.
All the deviations in this game are, I think, the worst parts of this game. I mean, am I wrong?
It depends.
What did they add that's better?
I mean, I liked the extra bit of fleshing out with Jesse Wedge and Biggs, for example.
Sure, but is it better that they live? That like
no, it's
like
not
Wedge,
even that. I'm just saying.
What was that stupid scene where like Wedge like got like sucked out the window by the whispers or something, and he was like, "I hope it wasn't for nothing."
Yeah. Well, because he basically thinks he's useless.
He is.
And he actually has a line in the original one where he says like, "I guess I was useless" or something like that. Yeah. So in this one, it's like he's alive, and he's just saying, "Oh, I actually did."
Well, like I just hate he looks like he's gonna die. Oh no, he's alive. Oh no, he's gonna die. Oh no, he's alive. Oh no, he's gonna die.
I don't know what they're doing with that. That's fine.
It's dumb.
It's fine. It is what it is.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying is, like, it's just more like the kind of, like, the dialogue between the characters. I think I just like really the dialogue that didn't necessarily happen in the original one.
No,
like, extra stuff between the main cast.
Sure, like, the natural fleshing out of things.
Yes.
They do an okay job.
That's what I like.
I mean, everything new.
I wouldn't say everything, but I mean, we would have to like literally have a list and be like, let's go down this list. I don't have a list.
But I mean, the new things that jump out to me were all stupid, and I don't think it's just because I have so much nostalgia for
the Colosseum was cool. I thought the Colosseum was cool.
But that's not like a pivotal story thing. I mean, like the changes to the story.
Because
does it matter that was there?
Well, I'm saying they need to do the Colosseum part to get the money to then give to Madame M to get.
But I just mean things like Sephiroth stabbed Barrett, but Barrett's not really dead. They brought him back. Like,
sure, that's just them trying to shock you. So.
Yeah. It's all everything that they do.
I understand, but I mean, stupid. You know, they're trying to shock you. Yeah, they're like, oh, are we gonna kill Barrett? No, we're not.
But like, and then they add new characters, which like that Roach guy, his stupid character, added nothing.
Now.
Oh God, I hope they don't bring him back.
I mean,
I'm sure they will. But God,
just imagine though, like him being the cartoon character that he was, and then him getting like serious and like almost like a serial killer vibe. Like
I could be okay. Yeah. If
like
he
him
turns
just
into, like, some, like,
deteriorating and just becoming
some, like,
an insane
mad,
lunatic.
actual lunatic,
and his
that'd be
clothes
fun.
are all like torn up. And
Yeah,
he's just like,
but again, that's speculation.
Sure.
They have no clue that
Right.
they're going to go in that direction.
if all of these extra characters that they created show up and like they still don't add anything to anything, then it's like, all right, well, you're just creating extra characters just because.
Yeah,
But
and I'm not even saying that like what they do going forward couldn't be good.
Sure.
It could be.
Yeah.
But I've like what they've shown me, I've lost faith in their ability to do it.
I was feeling that way when I beat it the first time. I was like, all right, so Zach's alive, and now they're just walking towards calm, and it's like,
And they've shed the shackles of the nerd whispers that tell them what to do,
and I was interpreting that very literally, like, oh, so are you literally just going to deviate completely? I'm just hoping that
sounds
they're
like
not.
that.
I'm hoping that they're not.
But I mean, they basically say it.
But I feel like if they deviate way too much, then people are going to be pissed. People are not going to want to keep playing. Because like you piss off if you do piss off,
but I don't think they're worried about that because the entire game, I truly think, is a fuck you to the fans. I think it's like, hey, I know you want us to stick to this, but we're not going to.
But I still think I think there is majority of things in this game that are still basically the same as the original game, just fleshed out.
Oh, and they're sure, but I think this entire game is the journey of, hey, here's your fan service bullshit.
Sure.
We are shedding our responsibility to you after this.
But are they doing that just to mess with you? To make you think that?
And then they're gonna do right by the fans? I don't
No. I'm saying, like, because, again, it sounds like you're saying that they are gonna lean too far in one direction of a new direction. Yeah. And I'm saying, I don't know, but I think there's still definitely, like, I think most likely more than not.
I'm always open to being wrong. I could be wrong.
Right. I'm just saying, I think it wouldn't make sense to be like, let's make this game 80-90% completely different. That just seems nonsensical to me. Like,
well, it seems like that's what they were gearing up for. It seems like that this is
but I think
the thing that they had to do. We had to give them at least something reminiscent of Final Fantasy VII, the original. And then progressively steer them and get them ready for we are going in a different direction.
I think they're going to add things that are different. I think they're going to keep expanding on what's going on with Zack, and that's going to be the main thing that's weird and different. But I think for the most part, the main group is going to be like, they're going to hit the towns and sections that you hit in the original. They're just going to do what they did in this game and just expand on, like, conversations, maybe adds even some extra new characters, of course, but like whatever, if they're interesting or not, we'll see.
I have a feeling that the stuff that comes after this will bear very little resemblance, aside from maybe locations. Okay. Locations and characters. Like, just like the physical presence of those characters. Yeah, no.
We'll see. Because, I mean, I don't know. I feel like there was enough about this game that it's like, it's still enough connected to the original to me where, again, they just expanded on what it was because it's a newer game.
For the first 35 hours, but it felt like... truly, doesn't it feel like...
And then at the end, things get weird.
Like, I know. We are done.
But I'm wondering if that's just so they can open the door for that Zack thing.
Maybe.
And then kind of... Again, I have no idea what's going on with Zack.
No one does, right?
I have no idea, because then there's the Yuffie DLC, which technically you have not played.
Nope.
And I don't want to get into too specific, but at the end of the Yuffie DLC, there's a couple extra things. I won't be specific, but there's definitely a couple extra things to sort of tack onto the original ending, just so you know.
Okay.
Nothing like...
Is it worth playing? Should I get it?
I mean, I don't... It's tricky to say with you, because it's $20, so I don't know I don't know if you...
The money's not really...
I mean, it's about 4 or 5 hours long.
I actually like that.
Yeah, so
I prefer that.
I just don't know for you if you're one of those people that's like, well, it's $20 and it's only for... So.
No, I'm an old man. The shorter the better. I will pay more money if it's shorter.
I like the interpretation of Yuffie in this. I did not give a shit about original Yuffie.
Me neither.
Did not care. By the end of this, I
named her Tub and then I barely used it.
Well, Tubbs in this one has an emotional arc.
Just Tub,
not Tubbs. There's an emotional arc in her DLC that I'm like
12.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, you were a child, just like Yuffie.
Yeah. Oh, is she a child?
She's young. She's like young. Yeah.
Oh, I don't know why I remembered her being like a...
Well, because I think the proportions of her character model in the original one was kind of similar to the other characters. So I thought she was the same age.
She was like early 20s.
No, I think she's like 16 or 17. Okay. But yeah, no, there's an arc in the DLC that I'm like, all right, I actually do care about Yuffie. Like, by the end of it, I actually care.
With how they did the characterization for everyone else, I'm sure.
And her movement and fluidity is really good, because, again, she's a ninja. She's a Wutai ninja, so, like, her combat is pretty cool. she's throwing her star around, and then she does like the way she kind of like does like magic. Because she'll throw her star and not do like actual like fire, but she basically kind of like does like sort of like projectile magic type of stuff. So a lot of aerial stuff, and just kind of like long distance combat, and it actually feels pretty decent. Like I think she actually feels the most fluid out of all of the characters.
Well, yeah, hopefully they would have learned how to progress that
because they had the extra time to be like, all right, well now we're making this DLC
and reflect on it and stuff. And
so yeah, I mean, if you care enough to continue playing,
like I said, I liked most of that game.
I mean,
I genuinely did.
I'm gonna need you to play part 2 so we can come back here and you can be like, ooh, this is Abomination part 2. Like,
for the podcast, I would.
We'll see each other in 3 years when it comes out.
If anyone who watches this can actually stand to see me again,
well, I'm sure
I'd consider it.
I'm sure. I'm gonna.
I imagine I'll be a polar.
I will literally put money on it right now that they're gonna find you more interesting than me. So I'm just gonna say that right now, based off of the group that I'm in, those kind of guys, they're gonna think you're more interesting than I am. So
we'll see.
But anyways, so yeah, I mean, I think that's pretty much it. I hope that's not gonna be in the back. Like,
I'm sure it'll be there a little bit.
It's gonna piss me
I
off.
feel like I'm probably too negative.
I mean, you are, but
probably too.
But this is why this is a good dynamic.
But I think I kind of have to balance you out. You know, like
right. Well,
so,
I think I critiqued things.
I
critiqued things.
You loved every second of it.
No, I did not. I hate the aerial combat or the aerial parts when you're, whatever.
Because it's funky and bad.
Yeah, sure. Well, I'm glad you at least somewhat liked something.
I like most of it. I like most of it,
except for the last.
The first 35 hours I enjoyed. 32 hours.
Okay. All right. Fair enough. Well, if you do decide to play part 2, and then when that comes out,
I mean, it'll all depend on how it looks, right? Like,
sure.
Like I said, I'm open to being wrong. Like, I know I don't sound super open-minded, but I am open to being wrong. I'm open to them maybe doing something interesting, that even if it's not what I want from the remake of Final Fantasy VII.
Sure.
Something that still is interesting and worthwhile.
Yeah, well, me too. And again,
because like we said, like the original still exists. Like I'm not sitting there being like, oh my god, they ruined Final Fantasy VII. Like they didn't. The game still exists. It's still amazing. That's
why this is a good dynamic, because you're basically, like, if we're going to look at, Greg Miller and Colin Moriarty from back in the day, you're Colin, I'm Greg. But I didn't turn into a huge douchebag.
Yeah, I was going to say, that doesn't age well.
Who abandoned his friend.
But whatever. I don't know that.
He did a dumb tweet that was a joke, and nobody took it as a joke.
I'm sure there was more going on behind the scenes than just that.
Yeah, he was basically having sex with Tim Geddes, and they ganged up on Colin and kicked him out.
See, this is where I'm more open-minded than you. Like, I'm willing to accept, like, I don't know what went on in their relationship. Like, the reason that even matters to us, because we both listened to podcasts beyond from, like, the beginning.
Right.
So we followed them for a very long time. But, yeah.
I'm not saying Colin's not a flawed human being. But
I like Colin.
But that whole thing was bullshit.
It seemed like bullshit from the outside.
You know what else is bullshit? Your entire opinions on Final Fantasy VII Remake. So.
And every Final Fantasy after Final Fantasy VII 9, apparently. Because everything after that was terrible.
9 was very nice, though.
9 was good. 9 was great.
All right, well, I think, do you have anything else in mind, or?
No, fuck
Did you want to look at your notes?
Game.
Did you want to look at your notes and say that thing? You had some spiel? If you want to...
I don't reading that. my, like, diatribe about,
But that was supposed to be your closing argument.
I basically said parts of it already.
All right.
Oh, there was one other stupid part. Towards the end, Cloud says, come get some bitch to one of the whispers or something. And I thought that was really stupid.
Nah, that's just Cloud being cool. No, actually, we're gonna
I want to end on that.
No, we're ending on this, because I completely forgot, and that's my bad. So this actually came out a few days ago.
Why are you reading Kotaku? Oh, God.
Don't worry about it. I'm just using it as the reference. So,
for the record, Kotaku's terrible.
I know.
As an organization.
No, I know.
I'm sure there's some good people there, and
that's fine.
Some good.
I don't care about Kotaku. It's more the story, and it's hilarious. So, originally,
I don't like activist media.
Originally, during the Honeybee Inn section, when
with some caveats,
Cloud does the cross dressing, and he's dancing with Andrea. Originally, and
no one's gonna sit to the end of this.
They are gonna. Well, I mean, I hope so. But if not, then that's on them.
We've been rambling for a long time.
If they listen only 10 minutes, that's still 10 minutes. I don't even care.
Start over.
In the Honeybee Inn section, where Cloud is in a dress. Originally, they were going to incorporate a pole dancing section, and they actually had the...
Oh, that makes sense why Kotaku would want that back in there.
Sure.
That sounds like them.
They had the choreography and everything all set, like half of it was filmed, and then they cut it because, they were concerned about people not, really absorbing that appropriately.
So, I mean, what was there wasn't too far off from that.
No, sure.
It would have. I don't think it would have made that seem much more.
Well, so
ridiculous.
Toriyama explained that what went into creating the dance sequence. Oh no. So what was it? It was down. Is it here? One of the proposed changes was a pole dancing sequence that apparently got as far as filming, presumably motion capture, before being cut out of fear that it would impact ratings. So I guess more.
They
the
thought
ratings.
it might be a little bit more risque. But
Sure.
I mean, again,
I don't
what
know.
was already there was pretty ridiculous. I
Sure.
mean, yeah. Whatever.
So
it wouldn't have been a big deal if it was in there. Obviously, it would have fit with what was in there. So who cares?
that's how we're ending it. We're ending it with Cloud pole dancing in a dress.
Come get some, bitch.
That's what he's saying
That's
to
what I wanted
you
to end it.
about this episode.
I don't even know if that's what he said.
It
was something like
he
that.
did say bitch though.
He did say bitch, and it was dumb.
So Cloud's just a badass bitch.
It was really dumb to say that to like a demon ghost. A fake ghost.
All right. Well, thank you for listening. I guess if you made it this far, I appreciate you. And
yeah, I'm not gonna be on every one of these, but if anyone wants me back,
comment below.
Yeah, I might come back.
But yeah, well, thanks, Brendan. Thank you for driving all the way out here.
Hey, anytime.
Appreciate it. Anytime.
I'll complain.
Anytime.
I'll complain about Final Fantasy all day, every day.
I actually, and obviously it's getting late. I just remembered, I wanted to do like a reaction thing to the Final Fantasy 16 trailer with you.
Okay.
And just have us kind of comment as we're watching that, but we'll save that for later.
Yeah, we'll do that some other time.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you for watching, and peace.
Okay, bye.